The main character's name is Kang Ji Ung. He is a very kind person, always helping the grannies that carry way too much stuff for their age for some reason. His kindness extends further, however, as when he sees some bullies from his school bully a weaker person, he stops and listens to what they have to say. Knowing that he is kind, the bully that has his face shaped like a crescent moon and is apparently the leader extorts him by noting that the kid they are bullying is a motherless loser, and this picture is the only thing he has. Even if the bullied kid begs for him to not tear it up, he still won't stop. Ji Ung asks him to stop politely, as that must be a very important picture for him. But this rather ugly dude notes that it's his, and he can do whatever he wants with it, if he doesn't want to purchase it from him, that is. Ji Ung tenses his entire body as he hears this proposition from this guy, but he has promised himself that he would live kindly, even if some people deserve to be thrown down a river. He gives the Crescent Moon dude $100, tons of money for a student, but the ugly-ass bully says that this is by no means extortion. This is a simple transaction of goods. With that, they leave, and the bullied kid thanks Ji Ung for his monetary sacrifice. But he thinks nothing of it, as he just happened to have $100 in his pocket, and that picture that could have been printed countless times seemed rather important for him. The bullied kid thanks him once again. He really is kind. Ji Ung perks up as he hears this, as it seems he enjoys being called kind a little too much. The bullied kid goes further, as this is why he is so popular at their school, why he is called Angel Ji Ung. When he hears this, he is ecstatic, as if he is known as an angel. Surely people think that he is a very kind person. For him, it's truly a relief. Curious as to why he enjoys being kind so much, the bullied kid asks him why. Isn't it too tough, considering people like Mr. Crescent Moon? Ji Ung stops for a second and turns around, just saying that there is a reason he goes to this extent, something very dear to him. Eventually he arrives at class, where everyone greets him warmly, and his childhood crush, Soo Jin, does the same. Since they are both on class duty, she gets up and says that they should go and separate the trash for the recycler together. Thinking of this as the perfect date, Ji Ung accepts immediately. As they walk with the trash to the dumpster, Soo Jin notes that he has heard of his exploits this morning, as he helped Sang-gu with a personal problem, which he was praising him for like crazy while in class. Jin Ung says that it's a relief, but in his head he jumps around happily, as this has surely given him some good guy points with Soo Jin. At the back of the school, Mr. Ugly-Ass plays around on his phone, and his friends notice that he spent tons of cash on items in that game, something which is apparently amazing, for students that is. That's when one of his boys notices Soo Jin walking around with Ji Ung and he calls her over. Ji Ung immediately gets defensive, as this bastard called Gyeong Cheol is only a thug, not a very good one mind you, but still a thug. That's when he notices Soo Jin sweating as she sees him, making him think that she's being bullied by this guy. Cheol calls her over and she tells Ji Ung to go on ahead without her, but he warns her to be careful. She tells him that it's nothing, and that he should just go already. And due to his white knight senses tingling, he doesn't get the message, and he starts wondering all kinds of things. If she's being bullied, what should he do? Call the police? Or his uncle? That's when Cheol's friends leave the two alone, and Jin looks around before blushing and says that he shouldn't make it obvious that they are dating at school. Cheol asks if she's embarrassed with him, before anyone can answer that very easy question. As this guy looks more like a mop than a human being, he says that her school image shouldn't be more important than them. He puts his hand on her shoulder and gives a smile that only a mother could love, while saying that they are the only two people around this place. So since she looks so nice today, he suggests a smooching session. She pushes him around while saying that they are still at school, so that's rather inappropriate. She is either very dumb for falling for him or she's actually into ugly dudes. Unfortunately for them, or for him, Jin Ung was standing right behind a wall and listened to everything, which is why he is shaking like he is off something right now. Back in class, his eyes are soulless, like he just lost the only love of his life, and he doesn't even respond to his friends, as he only looks at Jin, like an actual stalker. He musters enough strength to message her, telling her that she should stay behind after class ends, as he has something to ask her. After school finishes, his friend invites him to the PC cafe, as he's feeling lucky today. But Jin Ung tells him to go ahead first, as he has something he must do. When both him and Soo Jin get out of class, she notes that it has been a while since they walked back home together, but notices that something is very off with him, so she asks what happened. That's when he stops dead in his tracks, and he asks if she is really dating that bastard, Chel. This question shocks her a bit as she was going to tell him earlier, but they just started dating out of nowhere, so yeah. Jin Ung gives her a shocked stare, as he still remembers distinctly. When they were little, her father was rather abusive with her, so she usually hid with Jin Ung around the street. He tried to comfort her to the best of his abilities, but she was still crying, and said that when she grows up, she will never marry someone like her father. Jin Ung asked what type of person she would marry. It seems that he has had feelings for her for quite a while at this point. She noted that she would definitely marry a kind person, someone like him, which made him blush and go on a quest to become the friendliest man alive. She tries to change the subject instantly, but Jin Ung tells her to stop, as Chel is in the literal sense, a bully. He is very far from being kind. So what happened with her ideal type? Does she not like kind and friendly anymore? She turns around and gives the dumbest explanation around. She used to think like that, yes, but she has actually dated a kind person and he was just so-so. For her, bad guys are tough, which makes them more attractive and cool. If this is not a double-faced rejection, I don't know what is. But either way, Jin Ung is crushed, as all of this time he has thought otherwise. She tries to walk away, but he suddenly grabs her arm and says that he is meaner. She asks what he means, and with tears in his eyes, Jin Ung promises to be meaner. Said no bad person ever. Soo Jin doesn't get why he's saying this, as he is the kindest person there is, but he starts screaming that he is meaner. He has been putting up an entire act this entire time. He has gangster blood flowing through his veins. He was born a bad person. He's not just a bully like that mophead. He is a born and bred gangster. For evidence, he shows her that these are fake glasses, and all of his birthday party pictures are full of gangsters. So really, he is a bad guy, a real bad person. Ignoring that this is quite the sorry sight, Soo Jin laughs and notes that he is truly too kind of heart. Is he making himself out to be a bad person only because he is worried about her dating a bully? And then, the words that would seal his fate are said. Truly, he is a good friend. Unfortunately for him, Jin Ung has officially been put in the friend zone, a place where only darkness waits for him. Jin Ung just gives up and thinks that maybe it's okay to just continue like this. But as he walks to the school gate with Soo Jin, she gets called out by Chel, who invites her to the karaoke. Jin Ung stares at him intently, as he can't help but wonder why she would even like this type of bastard. Chel notices his staring and gets up close and personal with him, making me wonder how Jin Ung didn't faint from seeing his ugly mug so up close. But Soo Jin drags his arm and tells him to come already, as he is causing trouble without any reason. That's when he asks Jin Ung if he likes Soo Jin, which just makes him look at this guy with a puzzled look. He warns him about following her around, as he can be one dangerous dude, but Soo Jin grabs his hand tighter and apologizes, as they will walk home together another time. Jin Ung is seething with rage, but he musters up a smile and a wave. As he looks at both of them walking away, he thinks that the arm she is clinging onto right now should have been his. The smile she gives him should have been directed at him. Previously, she said she likes kind guys. That is why he worked his ass off in order to please her for the last 10 years. But now, she likes bad dudes? That's just fine by him, as he promises to work hard again. It seems that this rejection has pushed the usual kind Jin Ung past the brink, and it seems that he was not lying when he said that he had gangster blood in him, because as he arrives home, tons of dressed-up gangsters greet him as their young master. Jin Ung is about to grow, from a level 1 thug to a level 50 boss. It seems that those ads weren't all that fake. As the gangsters welcome him back, he asks where his uncle is, with one of them explaining that he is inside, taking a phone call. While his uncle seems to be having a chat about some business, Jin Ung busts the door open, and with great confidence, he asks him to help him out. Because of this, the uncle closes the call and asks what's gotten into him. As usually, he is very different and rather cheery, too cheery perhaps. That's when Jin Ung announces that he wants to become a bad person, something which his uncle did not expect, as he always worked hard in order to become kinder than anyone else around here. Jin Ung asks if he's really a bad guy, and his uncle kind of confirms it, as he is more like a bad guy than a good guy. But all falls down on perspective, as he is sure that when he is on duty, the people that he is against don't consider him a saint or something. Jin Ung then asks if his father is a bad person, as he knows little about what he does. So his uncle explains that his father is an incredible man and a deadly fighter. So in society, he is considered a very bad person by most. But these days, a bad take can get you tagged as a bad guy, so it's all relative. Jin Ung is happy to hear that he really has bad guy blood flowing inside of him, so he asks his uncle to please make him a bad person, the baddest there is. The uncle enjoys his dark expression, one that fits the young master of a gangster organization. It even reminds him of his father, back when he was younger. However, he still finds this sudden change of heart strange, as he has been training to become a kind person for a long time. And in truth, it takes a long time for people to consider him kind. But it only takes one action to make him become bad. All of the efforts that he has put into becoming who he is will disappear into dust, never to be seen again. Is that really what he wants? Jin Ung, with confidence in his eyes, says that he does, so he asks him once again to help him, as he is done playing nice. The uncle notes that firstly, they need to get rid of his nerdy vibes, as he has carried them for over 10 years already, enough to make him look like the epitome of a nerd. They will start with his whack hairstyle and his plain school clothes. He will decide all of those for him, so he can trust him, as he has rather good tastes. He would like to believe that anyway. Jin Ung gives him a blinding smile and notes that he knew he would help him, so he will do as he says from now on. The uncle grabs his shoulder and says that from now on, smiling that brightly is strictly prohibited, as it gives him a nerdy aura. He must always be serious, like he is holding in a big dump. Jin Ung gives him his best serious face, which the uncle agrees with, but he asks again, as he can't help himself. He was trying all of his life to be the kindest person he could, so what is the reason for him changing perspectives so suddenly? Jin Ung thinks of how kind he was all of his life, and how Soo Jin was the one that started him on this journey, but also thinks about the moon-faced bastard who stole her from him. So there is no reason to live like that anymore. It has brought him nothing. The uncle thinks of this reason and notes that it's rather empty. So he must have an objective, right? Anything that comes to mind? Jin Ung explains that there is a bastard that he must utterly destroy, which the uncle likes. So he will teach him everything he knows, but not now, as he must be tired from school. So he should go get some rest as he prepares a little something. While he does that, Jin Ung wonders if he can really become a bad person. When he walks into his room, he sees the awards he has from different things that show how kind he is. I didn't know they gave out awards for being kind, but this is an elite level of nerdy. At least put them in a drawer or something. He looks at all of these awards and puts his head on the wall, as he is not confident about becoming a bad person. But at this point, it is something that he must do. While he is doing that, a few gangsters come inside of his room and note that they will be the ones that will make him into a crafty person. By the end, he will be soaked from all of the drip. Jin Ung isn't that confident that this rather round individual will dress him up nicely, but he notes that even though he now looks as he looks, he was called Crafty Hurricane in his school days, and everyone came to him for fashion advice. Jin Ung doesn't know if that's true, but goes with it for now. Later, after he is done dressing, the uncle tells him to come out already and show them how he looks. As he is coming out, we can see all of the designer and gold that he has on him, but he wonders if this is really appropriate school attire. However, everyone gives him a thumbs up, as the drip is immaculate. The next day, Jin Ung arrives at the school gate and starts doing all that his uncle has taught him, to frown and raise his eyes and walk as confidently as he can, like he is the son of a gangster organization. The students see him, but most of them don't even recognize him at first because of the drip. But they can't deny that he actually looks better than he usually does. As everyone turns around to look at him one last time, he thinks that he wants to greet them, all of them. His mouth is itching, but he will not do it. As his uncle said that it's prohibited, it makes him look like a nerd. So if someone meets his eyes and tries to greet him, he should say these magic words. When a girl tries to do just that, he awkwardly asks what she's looking at, which makes her apologize. Once he enters the classroom, his friends note that he really changed his whole style, but Jin Ung greets them with the same question. What are they looking at? It's clear on his face that he does not like to say things like these, so he just sits down, while his classmates wonder what happened to him, as he hasn't been like this ever before, and just where did he get all of those designer things from? Soo Jin also notices that he's down, so she comes up to him and notes that they should go to the cafeteria together, as she is hungry. Instead of telling her to go with that mop head, as he would be better there considering they could use his head to clean the cafeteria, Jin Ung just can't deny her, so he tells her to come, rather reluctantly at that. This makes the classmates gossip, as he looks to be in a bad mood. Did he fight with Soo Jin perhaps? Even though he was her biggest fan before, She starts to follow behind him and she sheepishly asks if something happened, as he is acting quite strange. If it's something he can talk about, he can tell her anything, as they are friends, right? Jin Ung smiles, as he confirms that indeed, something did happen, but he has had enough of her for now. So she should go on to the cafeteria by herself, as he isn't feeling all that hungry. Soo Jin becomes frustrated with him, as he is acting very strange. This isn't him. It's like he became an entirely different person. Jin Ung says that it's great if she can't recognize him anymore, but the person who became different first was her. She should remember at least that. With that, he walks away with his head down. 10 years ago, his whole life changed, because of something that she said. But now, his life has been turned upside down once again. Because of her. As he walks outside of the prison, school, the bell rings, and he notes that this is his first time ever skipping school. So it feels like he's doing something bad, but it also feels liberating. He also wonders if that moon face didn't come to school. But that's when he notices that he is standing at the back of the school with a couple of other individuals that share his ideas. Or to put it bluntly, bums. One of the girls there wants to skip school entirely, as she doesn't feel like going to any classes, and so Chel asks them if they aren't hungry, as he would like to get some grub and considering it's so early. The purple-haired girl accepts, but everyone else refuses with all kinds of excuses. Some just ate, and some are dieting. Jin Ung analyzes their behavior closely, as he didn't know that people will actually do something like this, skip all of their classes. With their plans made, Chel and the purple hair ask their friends to excuse them from the first classes, and with that they leave. Jin Ung continues to look, but his curiosity is not yet satiated, so he decides to follow them and learn what they do when they skip school like this. He follows and follows until eventually they arrive at the ramyeon shop. But Chel doesn't want to stop here, as he has found a place that serves better food, so they should go there and enjoy themselves. Purple hair accepts and asks if that food really is better while clinging on his arm. This makes Jin Ung's mouth drop, as that bastard seems to be a two-timer. He is dating two people at the same time. He clenches his gold-laden fist and promises to take this moon-shaped bastard out. He will send him back to his home planet, as a guy this ugly can't possibly be from Earth. He continues to follow them until they stop at the Good Fortune building, which the purple hair is confused about, as she doesn't think they sell food. But that's when Chel smiles and says that this is actually where his house is. Purple hair immediately becomes defensive, as she thought they were going to a ramyeon place. So what are they doing at his house? Chel smiles and says that his house also has delicious ramyeon, ready to serve. Additionally, there is nobody home, so it will be fine. Now that I look at him closely, I just now realize how long his nose is. This guy could track down even the most hidden fugitives if he were to use it. Purple hair feels that he has other reasons for bringing her here, so she suggests that they go back to that other place and eat there. But Chel grabs her hand and says that it would take a while to get back there, so they should enjoy their food here. Purple hair swiftly removes his hand from her and notes that if he wants to eat at home, he can do so, as she will eat at that other place. Chel now is angry at her, and notes that a scamp like her shouldn't look like he's trying to force her into something. She gets angry at his insults, but he notes that she was the one giving all of the signs. But now she wants to act like she didn't do anything? He has seen lying women before, but she takes the cake. That's when she walks up to him and slaps him across the face, giving him enough reason to actually hit her. Jin Ung wonders what to do, maybe call the police, but he won't have time for that. That's when he notices a few rocks next to him and picks one up. Now he has some tools in his arsenal, and David brought a Goliath down with just a rock too. He can do it. He can hit that ugly bastard. Once he throws it, he manages to hit the girl right in the head because of his stormtrooper aim, which he is quite shocked by, as he didn't expect this in the slightest. Never give bro a gun. Chel starts looking for the bastard that dared to throw rocks at them, and it seems that they are now both angry at the rock thrower. Jin Ung thinks that it's unfortunate that he managed to hit Ye Ji, the purple-haired girl, but he throws another rock, while praying to any almighty being to make the rock hit. It seems that his prayers were answered, as the rock hits Chel square in his head, giving him a much-needed forehead reconstruction. Unfortunately, Jin Ung's ring drops as he rushes to grab Ji's hand and run away with her. She's quite confused by this whole ordeal and asks him to stop and such, but he only replies with, "Let's run away first," and she reluctantly agrees, although she is quite mad at him now. Chel starts to recover from his daze, and Jin Ung finally realizes something very important. What does he do now? Jin Ung and Ji continue to run away, until finally they stop, and Jin Ung goes to fetch something while Ji looks at the wound that is on her head and wonders if she will get a scar from it. Eventually, Jin Ung comes back with some bandages and gives them to her. She asks if this is him trying to make up for his stormtrooper aim, which makes him apologize profusely, as he really was not aiming for her. The rock just landed where it landed. Ji smiles and notes that she was just joking around. If he wasn't there, Chel would have definitely hit her. She also introduces herself, which makes him confused, as they are from the same class. He is Ji Ung. She is surprised to hear this, as she did not see the similarities at first, but he most definitely looks like that nerdy Ji Ung. He gives a faint smile, as he didn't know he was considered that nerdy by others, as he tried his utmost to be kind to everyone, even if some did not deserve it. Ji, apparently not knowing when to stop, says that he was also quite annoying, but that didn't have anything to do with him being kind, as the only kind people who are annoying are old people and beggars. Jin Ung doesn't know what to say about that, so he just nods and lets it go. Ji also says that she heard tons of rumors about him being quite kind, but seeing as he bought her these, it seems that the rumors were quite true. Jin Ung tries to defend his badness, as he is not kind at all. He is actually the meanest person around this town. She doesn't know what to say about that, as a bad person wouldn't just buy bandages like this for anyone. For example, that bastard, the mop-haired Chel, there's a bad guy. Jin Ung says that guy is just a ripe bastard. But does she really like him as well? Is it the moon face or something? Ji explains that she's not attracted to him physically, as she doesn't think nobody can be considering. She is actually attracted by his charm, that he is so free-spirited and tough. But it seems that he was actually trash, something which she half expected already. Jin Ung also didn't expect him to raise his hand at a woman, but knowing this, would he really be able to become trash like him? Ji finds his pondering quite funny, as she hasn't seen anyone debating if they should be trashy like this. Chel starts calling her again and again, which makes her wonder if she should answer the phone and be done with it, as this guy doesn't know when to stop. Jin Ung begs her to not tell him that it was him that threw the rock in his forehead, even though he kind of needed it. She picks up and asks what's up, but he instantly screams at her asking where she is and who that bastard is that dragged her away. He knows full well that he is from their school, so he better count his days, as he will eventually find out who it is. Tired of his loud yapping, Ji starts screaming at him too, asking if he wants her to press charges for what he was trying to do. She doesn't know who that guy was, so he better stop. Ji Ung gives her a slow thumbs up, as he didn't expect her to be so intense, but it is admirable to say the least. He definitely wouldn't want to mess with her. Chel is still very mad at what happened and wonders who that bastard is, who dared to throw a rock in his way, who from their school would dare to touch the mighty Chel. Before he can continue to monologue like a cartoon villain, he walks in the direction the rocks were thrown from and steps in something sharp, something that catches his attention very well. While they walk away from the park they were chilling at for a bit, Ji asks Jin Ung what he's going to do now, with him noting that he will just go back to school. But what will she do? If they leave that bastard to his devices, he will most definitely do something to her again, while thinking mostly about Soo Jin, as she might be the one that's in real danger out here. Ji notes that he really is too friendly, as this is their first time talking ever. But he is concerned about her? Jin Ung defends his badness once again, but she was really in tons of danger there, so he had to intervene. Ji notes that even if she decides to report him to the cops, he would also probably get punished, as he threw the rocks, and additionally she was the one who hit him first, so he would be at an advantage due to these reasons. That bastard sure got out of this. As he has most likely guessed, she does not have the greatest image at school, or anywhere if she's honest, but she doesn't want to listen to people gossiping behind her back about this whole ordeal. And girls do gossip, quite a lot actually. Though even if this thing were to leak to the public, it really couldn't hurt her reputation, because it's already in the ground. But still, she asks him to keep what happened today a secret from everyone. With that, she walks away, while wondering why she is saying all of this stuff to this dork she just met. Jin Ung just stares at her, not knowing what to make of the situation at hand, but he returns to school where he has some food with his friends, who are quite surprised by his sudden transformation. With all of that gold on him, he looks like an average thug, and their teacher reported him for skipping school, so he will have to go to the teacher's office later. Jin Ung just gives them the most Giga Chad answer there is. Okay. One of his friends would like to know more accurately why he decided to look like he is trying to cosplay a thug from a video game, and the other notes that he is really similar to the mophead, Chel. Jin Ung is happy to receive such news, as he was hoping to look like that guy. This makes both of his friends shocked, and they both ask why that would be of any good. That guy is a bastard. Jin Ung notes that he cannot give much information right now, but there is a reason for him going down this dark path. They will be told in due time, however. They are both willing to let this go, even if they don't like it. But shouldn't he be trying to imitate Song Jung? That guy is apparently much craftier and meaner than Chel, so he would be an ideal muse for his bad journey. Jin Ung can only think of the girl that was stolen away from his side, and as he clenches his spoon, he says that he must become like that bastard no matter what. Suddenly, Ji appears with a tray of food and asks why would a person trying to become bad help her like he did. She asks if she can eat with them while sitting down and just starting to eat, but she notices that the atmosphere is rather awkward, so she asks if they are uncomfortable with her around their boy table. Both of Jin Ung's friends deny that notion, while wondering why this woman, who is considered a devil around these parts, is here. The friends notice that there's something uncomfortable between the two standing in front of them, and one asks what she meant by Jin Ung helping her out. He immediately tries to stop the conversation like he is trying to stop a car from crashing into him. But considering his friends, he decides to leave first, as he would like to eat somewhere else, so they will see each other later. Ji decides to follow after him, even though he didn't tell her to. Both of his friends note that something very interesting is happening right now, and laugh at Jin Ung for having a woman follow him. But in reality, these losers are both envious at Jin Ung, because he has a woman that is following him willingly. To them, this is the greatest betrayal possible. Ji continues to follow Jin Ung, which Soo Jin sees, and is apparently not too happy about. When Jin Ung arrives at the boys' bathroom, he looks in the mirror, and even though he is dripping, he would get punished if he continues to walk around like this. So he removes the necklace and the handicraft his uncle made for him, and he puts them in his pocket. He thinks that even if he is trying to become bad, he must apologize even after all of this. But this is his first time skipping school ever. Will his punishment be severe? He moves on to the rings, as those also must be taken off. But that's when he notices that one of them is missing. He desperately checks his pockets like a poor college student, but it is not there. So he starts to sweat bullets, as this ring was extremely important. It was given by his rotund uncle. It was quite precious to him. So Jin Ung asked why he would be giving it to him. The fat uncle explained that this is a precious ring he received from his father on the day that he officially became an adult. He would have never thought that he would pass down this meaningful gift to his boss's son, but now that he is doing it, he is crushed by emotion. What an honor. However, he will have to return the ring to him when he passes away, as he will carry it with him into the grave. So yeah, Jin Ung, who now looks like an inflated pufferfish, messed up extremely badly. While he walks back to class, he wonders when he lost it, as he didn't even realize it was gone from his finger to begin with. So much has happened. When he gets back to class, he checks around his table, as perhaps he has dropped it on the floor. But that's when Chel enters the classroom and kicks him out of his way, as he was already upset from what happened earlier. He continues to kick Ji Ung again and again, as his back looks like the bastards that hit him, so he is just taking his anger out on him. Soo Jin just watches as this happens, but eventually, Jin Ung just passes out, which makes the now even uglier Chel note that he should hit him harder, to revive him. Ji comes around and notes that he already tried to slap a woman, so why is he taking his anger out on that fool? Chel immediately gets in her face and asks once again who the guy who threw the rocks was, but she says that she does not know, which angers him, as she should talk now, while he isn't as aggressive. Does she really think he is a pushover? He knows full well that he is from this damn school, so she better speak up. God, is this man ugly. Ji tells him once again that she has no clue on who it is, which makes him raise his hand, as he thinks that she deserves a little wake-up beating to broaden her memory. She asks if he really is willing to hit her, but it seems that he is, which makes her think. If things became like this, she needs to find a person that Chel would be afraid of, not the loser standing on the ground, but someone stronger. She says that it was Song Jung Seok who threw the rock. That is the kid he is looking for, the one taking a nap right now. As Ji expected, Chel is immediately scared of waking up that hulking mass of muscle, as he can't act like he's the boss of anything with that guy around. He will surely beat him up. However, he still decides to go to him and tell him to wake up, which he doesn't as he is apparently fast asleep. Seeing as he doesn't want to wake up, Chel decides to go in fully. He is now putting all of his chips in one bag. He calls him a bastard, and actually kicks his table. This shocks everyone in the class, even Ji, as this bastard just initiated a hidden boss fight. Jung slowly gets up, easily towering over Chel, and asks if he has really gone crazy or something. I'm surprised a health bar didn't appear just now. Rather sheepishly, Chel asks if he helped Ji out, but he is quite confused by this. So Chel asks him again, is he the one who helped Ji out recently? Jung just looks at her, as she thinks that he thought Chel would let the matter go since he would have been scared. But this bastard made the situation go out of hand. Jung also looks at Ji Ung, who is just waking up from his blunt force-induced nap, and notes that maybe he was the one that helped her, while cleaning his ear. This makes Chel even angrier than he was initially. So he grabs his shirt and tells him to not try and be funny. Just what is he trying to pull right now? Huh? Does he look like a weakling to him? Is that it? Calmly, Jun grabs his arms, but Chel doesn't give up, and he asks what he will do if he finds out that this is just a lie concocted by him. Jung clenches his arms tightly and he asks him, what is he going to do about it if it isn't? Seeing that he cannot win in this situation, he pulls his hands out of Jung's grasp, and even though his hands are still shaking from the pain, he promises to have his revenge. He will not just let this go as it is now. He starts screaming at everyone in the classroom, but while he walks past Ji Ung, he notices that he is rather similar to the bastard that hit him with a rock. At least his head shape seems similar. That's when Ji Ung sees his fat uncle's precious ring. But just how did he get it? Chel thinks that a loser like him wouldn't be able to do such a thing, so he lets him go and walks away. Soon, Jin just looks at him, but Ji takes side and rushes to his side, noting that they should go to the nurse's office as soon as humanly possible. He might be really injured. This makes Soo Jin mad for some reason. Just what does this woman want? This is further increased by his friends, who speculate that there might be some romance at play here, as Ji said that Ji Ung is annoying, so maybe they hit it off. This makes Soo Jin even angrier, and Ji asks Jung for help once again, as she doesn't think that Ji Ung can walk on his own. He accepts to help them, but Ji Ung is the one that refuses their help, as he can walk on his own. However, he does thank them for the help they have given him up until now, but he can manage from now on. Ji agrees, while being confused by his sudden burst of energy. Ji Ung walks out of the classroom and wonders what he should do. But why would Chel have that ring? How can he explain something like this to his fat uncle? Will he not be mad, considering that it was his precious item? When he arrives at his home's gates, he wonders how he should explain the ring missing from his finger. But he must face these challenges, so he walks forward, and the underlings welcome him home. But that's when they notice that he is all tattered up, and his face is all dirty. They instantly flock near him, and they all wonder who could have done such a thing, with one of them even noticing that there are footprints on his back. Who dared to walk on him? One of them screams at the others that this is a direct challenge to their Firebear gang. They should all get their tools, as this signals war. Out of nowhere, they all pull their respective weapons and turn into bloodthirsty demons, as they have disrespected the young master, so they will slay them without prejudice. Ji Ung tries to calm them down, as there is no need to act in such a way, but that's when the fat uncle appears and sees them riled up. So he asks what's going on. One of them explains that the young master has been beaten up at school. This cannot be forgiven. The veins on the fat uncle's head grow from anger, and he pulls out his famous demonic knuckles, while swearing to kill the bastard who dared to touch even a hair on the young master. He goes up to Ji Ung and asks who would dare to do this. But that's when the other uncle appears and tells them to stop with a loud scream. They should all put their tools and calm down for a second, as this situation doesn't warrant such reactions. They are reluctant to just let this go, as their young master was bullied at school. How can they just sit still and do nothing? Ji Ung is glad that Uncle Jae-uk is acting like a normal person. Surely he will calm all of them down and bring the atmosphere back to normal. He explains to the others that the young master will be someone who will become the pillar of their organization in the future. They cannot interfere in one of his fights. It is his to win or lose. This makes the others speechless, but they all drop their weapons, as they were all short-sighted by anger, so they beg him for forgiveness. They are all sorry. Now that the situation has calmed down, Jae-uk tells them to gather in the meeting room, as they will be having a strategy meeting regarding what happened today. Naturally, Ji Ung is also pulled into this meeting, but he is quite confused by this whole ordeal, as he didn't expect they would be having a strategy meeting because he just got a little bruised up at school. These people really are dedicated. Jae-uk asks him if the guy who beat him up is any good at fighting, and he notes that he is a bully for a living, so he would naturally be good at fighting. Or so he thinks, as he doesn't really know. The others aren't that impressed with that guy being a bully. If that is the case, couldn't they just go and give him a good beating? As he will surely not put up much of a fight. Jae-uk assimilates all of the information and notes that he told him previously. If he were to get into a fight, he should always hit first no matter what, so did he. The others also gather around like children for book reading, as they are very curious to see if their young master hit first. He explains that he couldn't hit him, which makes the mood depressive. But then he says that he was able to hit him with a rock right in the forehead, something which he most desperately needed. The cheery atmosphere returns, as they are all impressed by his ability to use the tools around him to even the fight. How amazing! Jae-uk is not that impressed by this, however, as he cannot use tools in a fight like this. A high school bully, like the one he is facing, only uses their fists to take care of things. That is the golden rule of all bullies. The reason why he was beaten up today? Well, he will put it bluntly. He just can't fight. But Ji Ung knew that already. Very well, in fact. Still, there is hope for him yet, as he is a man who carried the blood of the Fire Bear Gang's boss in him, something extremely valuable. So with some training, he will definitely become stronger. They are all experts in this area, so they will help him put some meat on his bones. Ji Ung agrees with the training, and the others are ecstatic, as they will all help with his training. He will become a true beast of a man. Jae-uk adds something though, something rather important to him. Ji Ung asks what it is, and Jae-uk notes that he must develop the habit of winning, which will grow by having his first victory ever. Ji Ung says that even with this, he is not that great at fighting, so he needs training firstly. Otherwise, he won't have a chance against that crescent moon face. Jae-uk would agree, but by then his hunger for blood would wane, so there is only one way to do something like this. Ji Ung asks what it is rather cheeringly, and Jae-uk says that he will have to go beat up someone much weaker than himself. Everyone around him agrees, as truly he is the smartest out of everyone here. But Ji Ung didn't expect to hear that coming from his mouth. Ji Ung doesn't feel like beating up people weaker than him would surmount to anything. But the fat uncle explains that if he becomes stronger, weakling losers will start to appear everywhere, and the number of weaklings around him will continue to grow. Same goes in their world as well. Even if people deny it, the world is still hunt or be hunted, so he needs to get used to beating on the weaker rascals. Ji Ung comes to terms with this quite harshly, but Jae-uk says that what his fat uncle said, Guy Sang, is right. He needs to put his trust in them as they are here for him, no matter what. Ji Ung looks at them and knows that he can. He just wonders if it's alright to. The next day, as Ji Ung is heading to school, Sang stops him with a rather rough tone, which makes Ji Ung wonder if he figured out that he lost his ring. But he was actually mad about his shirt being tucked in his pants, an unspoken crime for bad people. He quickly pulls it out, which pleases Sang, and so they all wish him a good day at school. Ji Ung runs out of the house, as he doesn't want to be caught by Sang, as it will surely disappoint him. But he can't hide the fact that he lost the ring forever. So how does he get it back from Chel? What would that bastard even want for it? While he thinks of a solution, he spots a grandma picking up some cardboards, which makes his good guy senses tingle. But like Jae-uk said, he must not help others without getting something in return. So a real bad guy moves only when there is something to win, or there is something at stake. He forces every muscle in his body to not go and help the poor granny, but that's when she notices him and says that he must be late to school, so he should hurry up and go already. Ji Ung chooses to run away, but as he does so, he cries. Bro looks like he betrayed his sworn brother or something. He continues to run and run, but his memories catch up to him, and he can only think of the grandma, as this is his first time not helping her. This makes him reconsider becoming a bad guy. Can someone as kind as him do it? That's when another obstacle arrives in the form of a grandpa carrying some heavy things. The old man recognizes him and notes that it is unusual for him to be late for school, but Ji Ung can barely not stand to help him. The grandpa asks if something happened, as he seems quite troubled, but he knows that he can always talk with him about anything. Once again, Ji Ung runs away while crying his eyes out. But the old people keep appearing in his head. He can maybe outrun their old bones, but he cannot outrun their warm smiles. He arrives at another walkway and thinks that he will be coming late to school, which will definitely get him punished. That's when a few students appear, but Ji Ung doesn't look behind, and he thinks that they are elderly people. But fortunately, it seems that he has outrun the curse for now. They just continue to walk without noticing, and so he does the same. But that's when a large truck appears right in front of him, which makes him scream, and apologize, as the driver is cursing him out for his recklessness. Ji Ung just apologized without thinking, but he also didn't see that those two crossed the walkway while it was still red. They just crossed so naturally, like they do it all the time. They both look behind as they hear the commotion, and one of them spits out some saliva while saying that it would have been very funny if there was an accident. Ji Ung analyzes his attitude like he is learning for a test, so he thinks that he needs to cross on the red too, to become bad. That's when one of his schoolmates comes up next to him and asks if he's not going to cross. But Ji Ung, with a serious face, tells him to go forwards, as he must do something important. The classmate agrees, and Ji Ung prepares himself with a large breath in as the countdown starts. 3, 2, and finally 1. Cars start to pass as Ji Ung sits at the start of the walkway, but with a step, he starts to run through the different cars and eventually makes it on the other side. He has achieved his goal. He has committed a crime. This makes him wonder why people do something like this. But he walks away, while thinking that he should also try to spit his saliva like that guy did. He tries but fails, so he tries again, but again, he fails. This move is something that has to be practiced. It seems so to him at least. But he is hyped up to learn. That's when he notices Soo Jin on the other side of the road, but next to her is Mr. Ugly Ass, Chel. Ji Ung immediately hides, but wonders why he even did something like this. He is maidenless, utterly pathetic. Even if he is going through a rather rough time, Soo Jin seems to be having fun with that bastard, so he must work even harder and become even badder. He chooses to walk away and move forward, but that's when he notices that his classmate is being bullied by Ji and her girlfriends. She notices him, and the classmate does as well, but her girlfriends start to gnarl at him, as they warn him to just keep walking, but his classmate asks for help, as he is surely going to, just like last time. Ji is busy doing something else, however, as she's putting some makeup on for him. Ji Ung walks with the lessons of his uncles behind him, and when he approaches the rather harmless classmate, he asks him for everything he has in his pockets, which shocks everyone. Rather awkwardly, he continues to threaten the classmate, clearly not being used to this type of thing. Song has followed the young master because he was worried about him, but when he sees how easily he bullies the losers of the school now, it brings a tear to his eye. They truly grow up too fast, but it seems that he has come all of this way for nothing. Ji Ung tells the bullied classmate that he will kill him if he actually finds money on him, so he should give it over now. Sang remembers that line very well, as it's the one he told him about. It seems that he was actually listening. With a hand on his chest, he looks up in the sky and notes that his father has nothing to worry about anymore, as the young master is growing up well. In no time, he will be a renowned bad person. Ji Ung continues to pester the classmate about the money, but he doesn't know what he's talking about, as this is the first time he has seen him act in such a way. One of Ji's friends notes that when she first saw him, she thought that he was a loser idiot, but it turns out he is actually a true man. The other agrees, as this whole situation has become rather interesting, and this guy now seems pretty cool. Ji Ung is shocked by all of these compliments, as he kind of knew before, but it seems that now he has confirmed it. Girls really do like bad guys. Ji looks at him while keeping silent, and the classmate wonders what to do, but Ji Ung gives him a rather awkward but convincing look, while telling him to fork over the cash and get lost. Almost too easily, the classmate gives everything he has to him. This is because he thinks that Ji Ung will act like he's taking his money and returning it to him later in secret. Truly, he is an angel. Bro just got scammed, as he will probably never see that money again. Ji Ung can't believe his eyes. He has just extorted money from someone. He got $40 by only saying a few words. However, to someone like that classmate, that money is something precious that maybe he should give back. One of Ji's friends comes up close to him and notes that his extortion skills are almost at Cheol's level, which is not high to begin with, but it's still pretty impressive. Ji Ung is very glad to hear something like this, and the girl says they should split that money, $10 for each. Ji Ung does just that, and they thank him for his service. But when it comes time to give Ji her share, she just looks at him and wonders why he is suddenly acting in this way. Without another word, she turns around and goes back to her friends, leaving Ji Ung to wonder why she is acting so bossy all of a sudden. Sang, who was still watching, had his eyes filled with tears and stars, as that extortion was smooth as butter, but he also split what he got quite righteously. Tears start to flow down his face once again, as it is like he is looking at a skinnier version of his younger self. Seeing what he saw, he decides to go back, as it was the right decision to give him his soul ring. Now he can live comfortably, with the peace that he will take care of it. Suddenly, someone bumps shoulders with him. Lo and behold, it's Mr. Moonface, who asks if he was walking around with his eyes closed, or is the fat on his eyes blocking his vision? Sang notices that this guy has the same uniform as Ji Ung, so he is from the same school. But how dare he provoke others like this, in the middle of the street? He will kill him because of this much disrespect. He tells him to turn around, which Chel does. But that's when Sang notices what's on his finger, the precious soul ringer that he gave the young master in hopes of him growing big and strong. It can't be any other ring, as there is no other ring like his, since it was custom ordered. Did the young master lend it to this bastard? Is he his friend? Either way, this is getting too complicated for him, and he's at his limit with his patience. Chel gets in front of him, and asks why he dares to look in another direction when he is calling him out. Does he have a death wish or something? Sang does not know what to do, and his mind is filled with rage. If he beats up this mophead, there will be hell to pay if he's Jin Ung's friend. He needs to hold it in, at least until he confirms that he is friends with him. Chel gets even closer, and asks why he's not saying anything right now. Did he think he was something only because he is a decrepit old man? Sang gnarls at him and notes that he is very lucky today, but Chel is not that scared of this fat guy, who is just trying to impersonate a gangster. But since he is in a good mood, he will not beat him into a pulp, so he should be more careful against real gangsters, like him. Sang just looks at him, and hopes that this moon-headed bastard is not the young master's friend. If he's not, he can just beat the ever-living snot out of him. After Jin Ung arrives at school, he greets a teacher who was walking around, but that teacher was actually looking for him all of this time and tells him to follow, as they have some business in the teacher's office. When they get there, the teacher sits down next to his classic Windows Vista computer and asks what's happening with him these past few days. Jin Ung doesn't get it, so the teacher puts it more bluntly. Just why has he gone down this dark and crooked path so suddenly? How can the president of the next school term act in such thuggish ways? Wasn't his dream to become the school president? Why this sudden change of heart? He knows full well that his teachers have tons of expectations for him, right? Jin Ung just sits in silence, because he doesn't know what to say, as he cannot tell this teacher to shove it just yet. Seeing that his attitude needs to be corrected, he tells him to bring his father to school tomorrow. But Jin Ung's face drops, as bringing in his father is a little extreme now. The other teachers are shocked by him actually talking back, and the teacher who was talking with him cannot believe that he chose to do this. It seems that his attitude needs to be corrected right now. Jin Ung calms him down, as he was not talking back. His father is actually away on a business trip. So can't one of his uncles come in his stead? The teacher agrees to let the uncle come to school and tells him to go back now, as their business here is finished. Jin Ung gets out of there and hopes to one day forget the days he spent in this prison. But most importantly, he is glad that his father didn't come, as that man would have probably burned the school down. One of his friends, Yoon, was waiting for him next to a pillar, as he was worried about him, since he never got called to the teacher's office before. Jin Ung thanks him for being a good friend, and he asks what happened there. Did he get scolded? It seemed that the teachers were hella mad for some reason. Jin Ung says that it's nothing bad. They just told him to bring his parents, which makes Yoon shocked, as he didn't expect him to be so calm with this information in mind. Jin Ung says that this is fine, as he can bring one of his uncles instead, but Yoon wonders if that's not somehow worse. Jin Ung scratches his head and hopes the same, but in all cases, this is better than bringing his father here. With that, they walk away, while talking about a myriad of things. When Jin Ung arrives home, he tells his numerous uncles that his school teacher asked for one of them to come to school. This information stuns them for a second, but they smile, and they all say that they will go at the same time. The lower rank uncles also want to go, as they are happy to see their young master become a true rebel, but the main uncles tell them to shut up, as they are nothing in the uncle hierarchy. The three main uncles all bicker for the position of guardian, as it is apparently something that they have dreamed of for quite a long time. They slowly start to get aggressive, as not one of them can give up attending such an important event. Jin Ung wonders why they are acting like they are fighting for $1 million, and Jae-uk suggests that they play it fair with a game of rock, paper, scissors, since they all have seniority in this case. They all get ready to throw in their fists in a real man's battle, where only one can come up on top. Rock, paper, scissors. Two have thrown scissors, and the winning one has thrown rock. That person is Sang, who screams out that he is victorious. He mocks the others, as they were both cowardly. A real man can only throw rocks in this situation. For his behavior, Jae-uk gives him a punch across the head and goes up to Jin Ung, apologizing for not winning the competition. Rather shakingly, he says that he should go and take some rest. He shouldn't worry about Sang that will come to his school the next day, not at all. Jin Ung just looks at him and agrees, while hoping that tomorrow will be fine. When the next day arrives, Sang tells Jin Ung to get ready for school, as they have a meeting to attend to. But when Jin Ung gets down, his face literally drops, as Sang has dripped himself a little too much. Sang is ecstatic as he walks out with the young master, who wonders if this will really be fine, but decides to let it up to fate and tells Sang to come along, as he doesn't want to be late. As they walk, Sang asks how school life has been treating him, but before he can muster up a good enough response, two buff dudes walk past them, and when they see Sang, they immediately bow down and wish him a good morning, something which scares Jin Ung. But he shouldn't be surprised, as this guy was a famous gangster back in the day, and it seems that is going on even now. Afterwards, Sang asks Jin Ung how his bad guy studies are going. Has he been doing tons of bad things? Jin Ung says that he has been doing them little by little, but he tried to practice spitting his saliva, but it hasn't been going well at all. Sang notes that this is fortunate timing, as he is an expert at that, so he will teach him how to do it in a step-by-step guide. First, he must say "E" while opening his lips like this. While he is in this state, he should push his tongue forwards, as much as he can, and the pressure should allow him to expertly get the saliva out. Jin Ung is amazed by his moves, and tries to replicate it the best he can, but fails utterly, and is left drained by the whole experience. Sang looks at him with a slight smile and notes that he will need to practice this before he can become a master, but they should do that while going to school. Jin Ung takes these words to heart, and continues to train diligently, but while he is doing that, Sang says that he should also be walking confidently, like he is doing right now. He only needs to take a big breath, straighten his chest, tighten his back muscles, let his arms swing open and open up his legs. This is how a true man ought to walk. Jin Ung tries to replicate him, looking like he's holding in the dump of his life, but Sang says that his form is very good. That's how it should naturally be. That's how a real man walks. Seeing as he is getting the hang of it, Sang tells him to do this until they get to school, which makes Jin Ung scared. But Sang pushes forward, and he decides to follow suit. As they swagger to the school, other students see them, and they notice the gangster besides Jin Ung, who looks pretty savage. He is pretty embarrassed by the whole ordeal, and wonders if it would have been better to bring Jae-uk along. But most importantly, he hopes he doesn't run into Soo Jin. Eventually they arrive at the school, and Sang analyzes it up and down, as this is the school that the young master is studying to be a bad person in. Pretty clean and peaceful, but it should do. Suddenly, he also asks about the precious soul ring that he gave him to wear, and Jin Ung immediately gets flustered, but says that he has it in his room. Since it was such a precious gift, he would like to cherish it as much as he can. When they walk into the school, Jin Ung covers his face as he does so, but Ji notices that it's him, and she can only wonder why he is hiding his face. He tells Sang that he is going to go to his classroom for now, but the teacher's office is just in front, so he should go there and talk with the teacher. Sang agrees, and wishes him a productive day at school. With that, he walks away with a deathly expression, which makes Jin Ung wonder if it will really be okay, or he will have to call the fire department sooner. When Sang arrives in the teacher lounge, the teachers are quite scared of his appearance, and some wonder if a thug like this is truly Jin Ung's uncle. That saint-like boy has been in such a family. One of the female teachers there asks the chief teacher if she should call the police department, but with a rather scared expression, he notes that he has been the chief teacher for 10 whole years, so he knows how to deal with these thugs. A good-for-nothing like that will be easy to handle. The female teacher is impressed by his courage, and so he gets up. Sang notices that he got up quite quickly, and the chief introduces himself, while noting that they should talk in the consultant room, which Sang agrees with. As they walk there, the teachers wonder if he will be okay, but the female teacher says that they should put their worries aside, as the chief is a good man, who sticks to his principles no matter the situation. In the consultant room, the chief prepares some tea for Sang, and notes that he treasures Jin Ung like he is his own child, so he should enjoy his tea as they talk things through. Sang thanks for the tea, and so the stiff chief begins explaining the situation. The reason he called him on this day is that Jin Ung has been misbehaving as of late, something that wasn't happening before at all. He was worried for his future, so he called this session, as he is about to become the school president next year. but he will not be able to achieve such a thing if he goes down such a path. Sang puts the tea down and asks if he is saying that Ji Ung is problematic, with an expression that would make even a bull scared. The chief's hair jumps out of his head as he sees this, but he did not mean it to be heard that way, as he is an amazing model student, however. Sang slams the table and with a more dangerous expression asks if he is saying that Jin Ung isn't a problem child. At this rate, the chief just doesn't know what he wants and says that he didn't do anything too serious, but he is a little problematic. This seems to please the giant in front of him, who asks if he's saying that he has become a problem child. The chief, feeling that he needs to call Jin Ung a problem child for his own survival, does just that. Indeed, he has become a very problematic child, one of the most problematic in the entire school. Having confirmed this, Sang then asks if there are students in this school that have a habit of extorting valuables from other students. But the chief denies that completely, as their school is a prestigious one that would never allow any sort of violence. God forbid extorting. It's a matter that he is in charge of, and he works diligently every day to keep it clean and safe for every single student. Sang starts to connect some dots in his head and gets up, which spooks the chief, but Sang was just leaving. He asks the chief to continue taking care of Jin Ung in the foreseeable future, which he says that he will, while bowing down deeply. When he gets out of that room, Sang thinks that it's the same as it was in their time. The teachers are a bunch of suck-up losers. The chief breathes heavily and wipes his sweat off, as he thought he was going to die in this meeting. So from now on, he will refrain from holding parent-teacher meetings with any of Jin Ung's relatives. Sang remembers where his classroom is and can only think of that moon-faced bastard, so he should pay him a little visit in order to teach him a valuable lesson. With his many tattoos and balding head, he walks throughout the school halls, and the students start whispering about him, as the presence of a gangster in the school isn't something common. Sang doesn't even notice them, as he can only think of that bastard and wonder where he chose to hide. Suddenly, he appears right in front of him, and he gives an evil grin as he prepares to do something bad. But when he turns the student around, it's just a random student who had a similar head shape to Chel. An unfortunate thing, really. Sang apologizes for mistaking him, which makes him reconsider his actions. He does wish to put that guy on a leash and walk him around town to show him what happens when he messes with the black bear. But he remembers what Jae-uk said, that the young master will eventually become the organization leader, so they cannot solve his fights. He must fight them alone. Even though he doesn't like it, he chooses to follow those words and walks away. Outside of the school, Chel continues to look at the ring and says that it's utterly brilliant. But how much would something like this even cost? It sure looks very expensive, at least. One of his friends notes that it would probably go around for $2,000, give or take, which fills Chel's mind with greed. Like the goblin he is, he thinks that getting hit with a rock was worth the hassle. His other friend asks if he won't share that money, but he tells him to get hit by a rock too, as this is the price he must pay for valuables. The other friend notes that he expects a cut for helping him sell the thing, and Chel says that he will give him some cash, but he should sell it as soon as possible, as he wants to get a motorbike with that cash. While the other friend feels insulted, Chel thinks about the motorbike. It will be his first, so this ring is truly lucky, but it will have to be sold in order to achieve his dreams. In class, Jin Ung wonders if his uncle had a good talk with the teacher. The worry is visible on his face, so his friend wonders what's going on, which makes Jin Ung ask if he thinks that his uncle had a nice talk with the teacher. His friend doesn't know what to say, which makes Jin Ung even more uneasy. But that's when the teacher gets inside of the classroom, and when he looks in his direction, he narrowly avoids eye contact, while saying that they should get the class started. This makes Jin Ung shocked. Just what did his uncle do to him? He thinks that he should call him and find out what really went on, so he asks the teacher if he could go to the toilet. The chief's memory is still filled with Sang, so he happily lets him go. Rather, he should take his time. Jin Ung gets out of the classroom and quickly calls his uncle, as he needs to know if he should be worried about cops pulling up soon. Back home, everyone is preparing a welcome party for Jin Ung, as he has officially become a problem child. But that's when Sang's phone rings, and one of the uncles hands it over to him. When he picks up, Jin Ung asks if he talked with the teacher, which Sang says that he did. He took care of it nicely, so he shouldn't worry at all. Jin Ung wonders what taking care of it means, but that's when Jae-uk asks for the phone. Jin Ung asks what he means. Just what did he take care of? Sang says that he just had a good talk with his teacher, nothing much. But Jae-uk's patience runs dry, and he asks for the phone again. Reluctantly, Sang gives it to him, and Jae-uk tells the young master to not forget what he told him previously, to go and beat up on some guys that are weaker than him. He asks if he really needs to do it now, but Jae-uk is as serious as he can be. He should start carrying out his duties today. With that, he hangs up, much to Sang's dismay, as this was the perfect opportunity for him to bond with the young master in a manly manner. But Jae-uk just hands him the phone while asking what he's going to do about it. Jin Ung thinks that he should do as his uncle instructed and become the baddest there is in this entire school. First, he should start looking for people that are much weaker than him. If he is a level 1 crook, he should be able to handle some nerds like those two, right? But that's not right, as they are a level or 2 higher than him, so he needs to find an even weaker person. He finds another person, who is level 5 in terms of strength, so he must continue to look around for weaklings. His search proves fruitless, however, and as he washes his face, he thinks that there is nobody in this school that is weaker than him. He wonders what to do, but that's when Jung, a level 70 final boss, appears, asking him to get out of the way, as he wants to wash his hands. Naturally, he lets him, and while he does that, he looks at his back, admiring how strong he looks. Even if he is the son of the Fire Bear gang boss, he is still the weakest guy around. Could he even win against an elementary school student at this point? Maybe a fish would beat him too, as he is sure those guys have more muscle than him. That's when someone taps his shoulder. The bullied who is now asking for the $40 that he took from him. Jin Ung's eyes widen, and he smiles, as he has finally found someone weaker than him, a level 0 ant. Suddenly he grabs his clothes, and rather reluctantly, he screams at him. Today, he will become the sacrificial lamb for his first victory ever. He apologizes as he raises his fist at him, and honestly, you can't just not feel bad for the guy. Will he really get the snot beaten out of him? As Jin Ung fist shakes in the air, Gu, the bullied kid, pleads with Jung to help him. This guy is trying to hit him for no reason. He's become a maniac. Jung just looks at what is happening with a monotone expression, and Jin Ung had forgotten that he was here in the first place. Will this towering beast actually intervene though? Jung decides to leave, much to both of their surprise. But Jin Ung thinks that this is a perfect opportunity for him, as all he needs to do is hit this guy at least once and be done with it. He tries to close his eyes as he does so, but he cannot bring himself to hit him no matter what. He lets him go, and Gu asks how he could do such a thing all of a sudden. He is a damn bastard. He is no longer an angel, but a devil. He is a bad person. Gu leaves the bathroom, and Jin Ung starts to breathe heavily. As his demeanor worsens, Jin Ung just thinks about how he couldn't move a muscle. He looks down at the ground, wondering if he really is mean. He falls to his knees, asking if this really marks him becoming a bad person. He knows that he should be happier, but he doesn't feel all that great right now. With this action though, all of the things that he has done in order to live kindly will disappear, just like that. He remembers the times when people like Gu called him kind, an angel, but he also remembers what Jae-uk said, that his efforts of becoming good would be instantly destroyed with one action. It seems that his uncle really was right. He felt so sorry for that guy, even though he only grabbed his collar and not much else. His heart is also beating extremely hard right now, making him think that it really is hard to beat someone up like this. But how did his uncle manage to say it like it was something so easy to do? He remembers what Gu said as he ran away, but then thinks that everything is hard at the start, as now he is a bad person to Gu. He will become a bad person to everyone, bit by bit, since he only lived by being kind to others, only because Soo Jin liked him. Unfortunately, it seems that her preferences have changed drastically, so he also has to change in order to accommodate her new preferences. Never change for a girl, boys. It's a loser move, but this might actually help Jin Ung. When he gets back to class, it seems that everyone is comforting Gu because of what happened, and when he sees Jin Ung, he notes once again that he is a mean bastard. Soo Jin instantly gets in front of Jin Ung and notes that they should talk, as she heard from Gu that he tried to hit him mercilessly. But there is no way that he would actually want to hit Gu. He was one of the few people that actually looked after the guy. There is no reason for him to do something like that. Did he really do it? Jin Ung chooses to remain silent, which makes the others fall silent too. But then they start questioning if this really is true, as this guy is known as the angel of this school. Something so violent would be impossible for a person like him. Soo Jin asks him to speak, as she wants to know why he has fallen silent all of a sudden. Jin Ung finally speaks, and tells her to stop it already. She asks what he means, and he notes that in the past, She used to dislike students that put on makeup and don't wear their school uniform properly. But now, what is she doing? The fact of the matter is, she has changed as well. He can't lie though, she looks good, but now he's going to leave school early, so she should inform the teacher once he gets to class at least. As he opens the door to leave, he is met with the ugliest sight on the planet, the mophead's ugly mug. It seems that this guy has a detector for compliments around his Soo Jin, as he appeared out of nowhere and now asks what he just said. But he remembers very well that he told him already to stop pestering her, though it seems that he had his ears clogged up at the time. Jin Ung tries to explain himself, but Chel instantly slaps him as he opens his mouth. Even so, Jin Ung asks him to listen to his words for a second, but Chel doesn't want to, as the solution for bastards like him who refuse to listen is a nice beating that will surely open up his ears. He tells his friends to hold this loser, and they just do that, with each holding him down by an arm. With that, Jin Ung's beating begins, but after one gut punch, he is already exhausted. As he prepares another attack, Chel tells him to liven up a little, as they are just getting started. Before he can throw this punch, however, Soo Jin screams at him to stop what he is doing now. This surprised Chel, who actually stops, but now he is turning his aggression on her, as she seems to be defending this bastard for some odd reason. She tries to explain that he got it wrong, but he doesn't listen to her. It seems that he's the one who needs the ear-cleaning beating. Due to his absolute genius, he thinks that she must be secretly dating Jin Ung, since she is defending him so much, so it seems that she also needs a disciplinary beating. As he watches this, Jin Ung's dam finally breaks, and he unleashes a mighty scream, calling Chel a piece of trash, which he actually is. Sure enough, this makes Chel stop, but his aggro is switched over to Jin Ung. This scream also woke up Jung, and Jin Ung thinks that he is okay with this moonface dating Soo Jin. He is okay with getting beaten up in front of her, but he cannot forgive him for trying to hit her. With a fire in his eyes that he has never been able to unleash before, he promises Chel that if he dares to put a hand on her, he will die by his hands. Soo Jin is surprised by Jin Ung's words, and Chel inches in closer to him, noting that those words shouldn't come from someone who is literally trapped and being beaten up like a damn loser. All Jin Ung can think about is Soo Jin's words when they were kids, and her words now, that she doesn't like good guys, as bad guys are actually cooler for her. His eyes are filled with tears, as he swears to himself that from now on, he will work even harder to achieve his goal, starting with beating her precious boyfriend. Jung watches the situation unfold, as he has become quite interested in what is happening. Chel prepares another hard punch, while saying that he should have kept sneaking around in life like a rat, instead of messing with the big shots. Jin Ung probably doesn't even hear him at this point, as he can only think of hitting this guy. He tries to do just that with his foot, and a powerful force kicks Chel back. Jin Ung doesn't know what to make of it, as he surely missed, but it was actually Jung who hit Mr. Moonface, as he had enough range to do just that over him. Chel recovers from the attack and asks Jung if he has gone crazy or something. Jung doesn't say a word, and instead answers with another punch, surprising both of Chel's friends. He falls to the ground and asks him why he is messing in his business again. Why does he do all of this just to him and nobody else? Jung crouches down to his level and says that it's because he is the only one who is messing around, and just so he knows, he is actually left-handed, so the attacks from just now were not even half of his power. Before Chel can ask him anything further, Jung throws a punch so mighty that it sends Chel to the afterlife for a second, as his soul leaves his body. After the attack, Chel is just sitting on the ground, like the worm he is, without one of his slippers, and with his pride shattered into pieces. Jung asks his friends what they will do. Do they wish to fight him? Or do they wish to pick up their little friend over there and skedaddle? They immediately let go of Jin Ung and said that they would leave. They do just that, as they pick up the now conscious Chel from the ground and walk away. Jung gives Jin Ung a hand, which he graciously accepts, but Jung is actually dragging him to the nurse's office, in a rather crude manner, as the arm he has put around his neck is being stretched to its limits at this point, due to the sheer size and height, making Jin Ung wonder if he will actually make it there. Outside, Chel tries to recover from what happened, with one of his friends wondering if he is alright, while the other notes that he should actually go to the hospital. Obviously Chel is not okay, as besides having his head hurt like hell, one of his eyes is diluted, and he can't see well with it at all. That bastard almost blinded him with only one punch. One of his friends asks what Jung has with him anyways. Just why did he choose to hit him like this? Chel agrees. Why is that bastard only going around beating him? He also got absolutely wrecked in front of the class. Who will take him seriously now? The other friend says that there is nothing they can do anyway, as even if they charge him all at once, He is more than capable of dealing with all of them at once. He also managed to throw a punch that was using his shoulder while he was crouched down. The other friend agrees that he is an ogre who shouldn't be messed around with. They should just count their lucky stars, as things could have gone much worse. Chel notes that he didn't need their help anyways. He has other plans for that guy, as he has a few connections that will prove mighty useful in dealing with him. Eventually, Jong and Ji Ung arrive at the nurse's office, but the nurse isn't around, so Jung just puts him in a bed and notes that he will go and look for the doctor, as he must be around here, somewhere. Before he can leave, however, Ji Ung notes that he has something that he would like to ask. When they were all in the bathroom, why did he just leave, without even attempting to stop him from hitting Gu? Jung explains that his thought process was that he must have had some kind of reason for doing that, since he is not the kind of man that would hit another person without any real reason, or so he thinks. Ji Ung thinks that he was about to do just that, as he had no reason to try and hit that guy. So why did he even do it? To prove something to himself. Jung looks at him getting up and says that he doesn't know what he's going through right now, but he surely must have had his reasons for doing something like that, even if those reasons are dumb. Ji Ung asks him why he is always saving him from Chel like this, but Jung notes that the worm deserves to be beaten up. He must feel the same way, but he also just wanted to help, if he were to guess. Ji Ung is surprised, as he had no real reason to help him, but Jung turns around and shuts down the conversation, as he has to look for the doctor, so he better lay back down in that bed and chill for a second. Ji Ung does just that and starts pondering his actions and Jung's words. Violence isn't really justifiable, but what he said about beating up guys who deserve it is true. On the contrary, he just wanted to beat up Gu, only because he wanted to become a bad person, like that Chel bastard. But he has been a fool all of this time, and now he feels very bad for Gu. At the school snack bar, Ji tells Ji Ung's friends to become friends, who are quite confused as to why she would want to become friends with them. But could it be that she just wants to become closer with Ji Ung? She blushes as one of his friends says this and notes that it's not really that. But she actually hasn't tried talking to losers like them ever before, and she likes to try things at least once. Yoon thinks that his previous suspicion was true. This girl really likes Ji Ung. His other friend says that he has no reason to become friends with bullies like her, so she reluctantly apologizes for being a bully, which pisses her off quite a bit. But even so, she must befriend these guys in order to do the same to Ji Ung, as just flirting with him would be rather awkward. If she introduces these boys to some girls, maybe they won't be so reluctant though. She asks if they have any girlfriends, with Yoon noting that in his 18 years of life, not a single woman has shown interest in him, while the other also confirms that he doesn't have one. But that's when he remembers that he has seen a scene like this before. That's right, in the best-selling romance book, How to Win a Girl's Heart, it said that if a girl asks a person if they have a girlfriend, it means that they are interested. Does that perhaps mean that Ji actually likes him? The delusions are strong with this one. She notes that if this is the case, she will be willing to introduce them to some girls. But what kind of girls do they even like? Even if these guys are losers, they are bound to have some preferences at least. Yoon has never thought about it before, but that's when the other friend says that she doesn't like school bullies, like she is. Yoon is surprised by how he said this, and Ji thought so, as it's probably only natural for them to think of her that way. But this might actually be how Ji Ung sees her, so she must keep it in mind. The other friend wasn't finished, however, as with a blush, he says that if it's her, then he doesn't mind the bully attitude. This makes both her and Yoon look at him with extremely confused faces, but the friend continues his romantic speech. They should just figure things out slowly. There is no need for them to rush like this. They should focus on their studies first and foremost. Then they could seriously start dating while they go to university. Then who knows where their love will take them. Ji has had enough of his really cringe yapping, so she moves the conversation forward by asking them what kind of girls Ji Ung likes. They must know at least that, right? They both start thinking about it, with Yoon knowing that he liked Soo Jin for a really long time, but things might have changed now considering. The other friend, with his boundless genius, finally comes up with a grand idea. Ji eagerly asks what it is, and that's when he proudly says that they should ask Soo Jin, since they have been friends for a really long time. While he keeps talking, Yoon thinks that this guy's level of intelligence rivals a wood plank, but Ji tells it to him straight. She asked them because she didn't want to ask her, but whatever. Seeing as they have no answers for her, she should just go and ask him directly, something that she should have done from the beginning. While doing that, she asks what kind of snacks he eats frequently, with Yoon recommending she get some papero, and the most diabolical combination I have heard of: mint chocolate milk. The other friend asks if Ji really likes him, making Yoon wonder why they even keep this guy around. With that, she picks up those two items and happily walks over to his classroom. But when she gets there, her friends tell her what happened, which makes her drop the snacks she got for him. She asks them to repeat what they said because she can't actually believe it. He just got beaten up and sent to the nurse's office as a result, simple as. Before they can ask her any questions, she picks up the snacks from the ground and runs away, making her friends wonder if she is really interested in that loser. As she runs through the halls, Ji wonders why she is feeling so anxious all of a sudden. She is clearly worried for Jin Ung. Even if she doesn't like it, she feels concerned for him. She reaches the nurse's office quite fast, where Jin Ung is crying his eyes out while biting his fist and apologizing for what he did to Gu, as he has become trash. He's not bad, just trash. Ji opens the door with a sudden thud, but Jin Ung doesn't look behind, as if it's the doctor. It would be embarrassing if she saw him cry, so he gets the idea to just pretend to sleep. Ji is out of breath because of how much she ran, making her wonder why this thing is so far from any classes. Ji asks if he's okay, but she notices that Jin Ung is fast asleep. Jin Ung, who is not fast asleep, wonders why Ji is here, so he thinks that the best course of action would be to act like he is sleeping for a while, then wake up. Ji suddenly starts to get really mad, as she has heard that he got beaten up by Chel. But is he injured? Her hand shakes as the anger takes over her, but for now she calms down and puts the snacks on the table near Jin Ung, as he can have them once he wakes up. He wonders if she's actually leaving already, but he won't turn around to check now. She thinks that she shouldn't have wasted her time chatting his friend up at the snack bar. She should have gone after that Chel bastard, something which she will do now. After she leaves, Jin Ung slowly gets up and notices that she actually brought him something to eat, but that's when another person appears, so he goes back to his fake sleeping position. This time, the person who came is Soo Jin, who asks if he's asleep. As much as Jin Ung would like to greet her now, he doesn't want her to know that he cried like a big baby, so he will resume his fake sleeping. She also notices the snacks that he has near him, probably from Ji, as she saw her leave a few moments ago. She picks them up and notes that Jin Ung dislikes these two things. They are actually things that she likes, so she throws them in the trash, while wondering why Ji is testing her patience and making her so annoyed. This girl is either very dumb or actually evil. She goes back to his side, while thinking that he hates bullies like Ji. Isn't that right? She goes to touch his hair, which makes him blush heavily, as he feels her body warmth. But that is suddenly stopped by Jung, who has arrived with the nurse. Soo Jin instantly turns around and asks the nurse to please take care of him, as he is quite injured. Jung leaves first, and the nurse tells him to not strain his body while exercising as a farewell. She notices that he is just sleeping, so she asks Soo Jin for any pointers. Does she know how he got injured in the first place? She starts to delay her answer, and both Jung and Jin Ung listen closely. Instead of saying that the mophead beat him, she says that he just fell down the stairs, which makes Jin Ung tremble in rage, and perhaps disappointment. Jung just silently leaves, but he has also learned his lesson, even though he had nothing to do with the situation. This is one hard betrayal, but the nurse has no clue about the nuances, so she thinks that what Soo Jin said is true, as this wouldn't be the first time that he would get injured like this. Since he is always around helping someone, he is bound to get injured from time to time. Anyway, she will be taking a good look at him, so she can go back to class now, but she has been a good friend to look after him like this. After she gets out of there, the nurse asks Jin Ung if he can lie down straight, but that's when she notices that he is crying very hard. She notes that he must have been enduring all of that pain in order to not make Soo Jin worried about him, but since he might have some broken bones from the whole ordeal, he should lie down properly, so that she can analyze him and see if there's anything wrong with his body. Jin Ung turns on his face and says that he is fine. He just only needs a little time alone. The nurse decides to agree with his request. He can cry as he wants to, since she won't let anyone in the room. While she is outside, she is quite worried for him, as Jin Ung is cheerful. So for him to cry because of an injury, it must mean that his injury must hurt quite a lot. What the nurse doesn't understand is that Jin Ung's wounds aren't physical, but emotional. Bro is just going through it right now. Outside, Chel asks his friend about how the selling of the ring is going, and the friend explains that he contacted his friend, who will help him sell the ring once he picks it up from him. Chel notes that he saw that the gold prices went up recently, so shouldn't they wait a bit and sell if for higher? The friend notes that they are basically teenagers, So they should sell it now since this is basically an illegal thing, and since the ring is also basically stolen. He is bound to run into a lot of problems if he doesn't sell it now. Ji appears in the frame and calls out Cheol's name with a shout. She tells him that they should talk, which makes his two friends leave, as they don't want to get caught up in their fighting, since it's none of their business. Rather angrily, Cheol asks what the issue is right now, and when she gets closer, she asks if he really has gone off the rails. Moonface doesn't like her attitude, so he slowly gets up and notes that he didn't do anything to her. He's the one that's the victim today. Can't she see that he's beaten up? Ji can't believe that this guy is actually victimizing himself, as he did something extremely bad this time. He is seriously a detestable worm. She can't believe that she used to like him, even though it was for a short moment. Cheol begins laughing and says that he never asked her to go ahead and like him. Why is she making such a fuss when she is the one who decided all of this? But now that she says this, he has to confess that he noticed this a long time ago, which is why he decided to play around with her a little. Isn't she just crossing the line now, considering that he was pretty nice with her? Ji gets even madder at him, and she bites her lip. As they continue to argue, the snake woman appears out from a corner, wondering why Cheol isn't reading her messages. She notices that he and Ji are together, so she chooses to continue listening. Cheol asks Ji why she is acting in such a manner. Didn't she already know who he is? Didn't she like him, despite knowing? Soo Jin wonders what liking he's talking about, but Ji tells him that he is really a worm that can only talk. As he laughs, he suddenly grabs her chin and says that even though they are late, they should just start dating now. This makes Soo Jin shed tears, but Ji refuses him and tells him to never touch her. Cheol notes that she is much more charming than Soo Jin, who is now looking down and slowly becoming the queen of delusions. She thinks that Cheol is acting this way because he is trying to get rid of Ji, who is actually constantly hitting on him. He might be a bad person, but his feelings are sincere. Cheol wouldn't cheat on her. She gets out of her corner and screams at them to stop it, which angers Cheol further, as it seems that he is being constantly pestered by women for some reason. Just what is going on? Soo Jin gets closer and asks Cheol to tell her that it's not true, with Ji just wondering what is going on. Soo Jin asks him again, he's not actually dating Ji, right? Cheol just sighs and says that he isn't, but now he is also breaking up with her, as she has become rather annoying. Soo Jin's whole world breaks, as she asks what he's talking about. Cheol repeats himself. He is going to break up with her. Soo Jin falls to the ground and starts talking to herself, making Ji quite creeped out, but Cheol has had enough of them both. So with a last warning to Ji, he scampers off. She can only sigh while wondering what happened. But then she asks Soo Jin if she was actually dating that bastard. There is nobody there to respond, however, as she keeps muttering to herself, which creeps Ji out again, so she just leaves. After a while, Jin Ung also gets out of the nurse's office and thanks the nurse for allowing him all of that time. But he's okay now. She asks him to stay, as she has to check him at least, but he says that he's okay for now, so he will go home first, and then to a hospital with his parents. The nurse agrees to let him go, and promises to cover for him in his classes, as she will inform the teachers right now. As he walks away, Jin Ung thinks that he shouldn't blame Soo Jin for what happened, as she only covered for her boyfriend. He is the only one at fault, since he didn't manage to become her boyfriend. In order to achieve that, he must become a bad guy, but he doesn't want to beat on the weaker guys in order to become bad. He would really love to beat the snot out of Cheol and see his teeth flying, but in order to do that, he needs to become stronger, as he is too weak right now. When he gets home, Jin Ung receives no meeting, and the house is rather quiet. But that's when he notices that all of the uncles are bowing down in a submissive position, making him wonder what they are all doing all of a sudden. Suddenly his father says that he is at home even though he should be at school right now. So the rumors about him changing were true. The way he dresses also has changed, but they need to work on that further. Jin Ung can't believe his eyes as his father is back home. He asks why he is so shocked. Isn't he happy to see his father? The father tells him to come sit, but Jin Ung is too stunned by his presence. So his father tells him once again to get his ass on the couch right now. Jin Ung jumps to the couch, apologizing for his rudeness. The father notes that it's been a while since they have last met, a total of 3 years to be exact, so he must have grown a lot in those years. He should stand up and let him have a look. Jin Ung does just that, and the father says that he looks just like him in his younger days. But Jin Ung asks why he came back so suddenly. He explains that he did so because he heard that he became a problem child, something which he was waiting for a long time for. Jin Ung notices the sign the uncles put up, And his father explains that even if he is a problem child, all he knows to do is get beaten up. He didn't even manage to conquer a territory, or his school. That is why his dear uncles are bowing down now. But did he really think that he supported him for 10 damn years, only to see him getting beaten up? And judging by his face, it seems that he got beaten up again. The famous son of the Fire Bear gang boss gets beaten up at school. What a pathetic excuse of a person. He calls over Jae-uk and tells him that from now on, he will provide him with the successor's training. Jin Ung tries to talk him out of it. But the father explains that 10 years ago, he said he wanted to live a kind life and rejected the training because of some dumb girl. So he has been waiting 10 entire years since he made that decision. But looking at him, he has achieved nothing. He has only gotten beaten up. But if he rejects the training now, he won't force it on him any longer. However, he will also reject him as a son for the rest of his life. Because what use has he of a son that only knows how to get thrown around? He is a walking weakling that he does not need. He turns around, as it's even hard to look at his face now. Jin Ung starts shaking and with tears forming up in his eyes. He says that he had a really hard time these past 10 years. He has had a really tough time with things. The father can't believe that he is crying right now. Is he even his son, or did he get switched at birth? Jin Ung explains that he didn't choose to have a gangster father, so why would he need to become a gangster, since he has his own life to live as well? The father agrees. Yes, he does have his own life not as the Fire Bear gang boss, but as his son, right? He is right indeed. But that is why he can just get rid of him, so that he won't have to worry about him from now on. Jin Ung asks what he means by this, and the father notes that he is not an idiot who will just wait for him to get ready to succeed him. He already has other plans if he rejects the successor's training. There are people all over the damn country who could be called his brothers. So the successor doesn't have to be his own son. However, he can't lie. He hopes that it would have been him. Jin Ung asks for more time to consider the successor's training, as he can't decide right now. This makes the father stop and say that he has been waiting 10 long years. He has given him all of this luxury for 10 entire years, while asking for nothing, so he cannot wait any longer. He will give him until tomorrow to decide. He will give Jae-uk his answer, but if he rejects, they will no longer be considered father and son, something which shocks Sang and Jae-uk. With that, he leaves. Jin Ung falls to the ground. As he probably has the worst father there is, Jae-uk picks him up, and Jin Ung notes that he needs to rest first, so he will go back to his room. Jae-uk tells the others to get up already and apologizes, as he didn't expect for the boss to drop in like this. They tell him to not worry about it, as it was nice to see him. He calls Sang and the other main uncle, Gon, to sit, as they have something important to talk about. As they do that, Jae-uk notes that he has never seen the boss like that. Gon says that the young master has to accept the succession training, but Jae-uk isn't sure, as it might be too early for him. Gon says that it does not matter if he is ready or not, as what would happen to them should he not accept. There are already people talking about them in the organization, saying that they are babysitters. Wouldn't they just be thrown to the dogs after this? Upstairs, Jin Ung is taking a shower, but he can only think about his father and what to do. As he gets out, Jae-uk knocks at the door, so he quickly gets dressed and invites him inside. They both sit down on his bed, and Jae-uk asks what he has been doing in school, as it seems that he was beaten again. But was this beating actually done by the weaker guy? Jin Ung tells him that he couldn't bring himself to hit someone weaker than himself. Just how are they able to do it so easily? Jae-uk thinks that it would have been weird if he did, but asks what he thinks about getting stronger, so that he can choose the people he wants to beat. Jin Ung agrees, as he is too weak now, so Jae-uk tells him to accept the successor's training, as then they can all help him. He realizes that this might seem pushy, so he gets up to leave, as he wants to let him think. But he should know that to protect what matters to him, he needs strength. He also chose to become stronger for this reason, so he should consider the training. Jin Ung does just that. He doesn't have the strength to protect Soo Jin, and he will definitely be able to once he gets the successor's training. But is he ready? Is he even right in wanting to become a bad person? Suddenly, he gets a call from Soo Jin, who starts crying over the phone and notes that she is having a hard time, which makes him ask her to explain in detail what happened. As she does that, he becomes more and more enraged. So he tells her that they can talk in person later, but this has made up his mind. He gets up and walks to the stairs. He screams out for all of the uncles to hear him, as he has finally made up his mind. He will take the successor's training, and he will become stronger in order to beat the snot out of some bad guys. He will become the baddest person there is. They all smile as he says this, and the whole house gets fired up, as they have all been waiting for this moment. Jae-uk notes that from today onwards, they will start the special training, and he doesn't even have to go to school. He will be sure to take care of that. Still fired up, Jin Ung notes that he will not go to school, if that is what it takes, which surprised both Gon and Sang, as the young master has just shown how much resolve he has. Jae-uk notes that Sang will be the one to train him physically, since he used to be an athlete. Shocking, right? Sang, with tears in his eyes, tells him to not worry about a thing, as he will make sure that he gets as strong as he was in his prime. Jin Ung agrees and starts following him. But that's when Sang asks if he is really okay with accepting the successor's training like this. With an even greater wish for power, Jin Ung notes that he has already decided. He must complete it, no matter what. Sang says that if it's so, he will let the matter go, but he would like to ask him something important. Is he positive that he has the precious soul ring that he gave him? Jin Ung tries to come up with an excuse for a time, but eventually gives up and tells the truth, that he lost it, and that mophead picked it up, the guy he wants to beat up and put him in the ground. Sang explains that accepting the successor training means that they can help in any fight he is in. He knows of the bastard that dared to take his ring, so he can go right now and put him in the ground if he commands it, but only if he does so. Jin Ung is hesitant to answer at first, but steels himself, and notes that even if this would be the easier choice out of this, that moon-faced bastard will be driven to the ground by his own hands. He must achieve at least that. Sang looks at him for a second, but then hugs him tightly, noting that he was hoping he would say something like that, so he will make sure he will become strong enough. Jin Ung thanks him awkwardly, and Sang tells him to get into his battle-ready uniform and come to the fitness training room once that is done, as their training starts from today. Jin Ung agrees and thinks of the perfect uniform to do battle in. He goes back to his room, and while changing, he thinks that since he has accepted the successor path, there is no turning back for him. He will beat up every bad person there is around here and become the worst there is. He looks at his achievements as a good person and notes that he will no longer be able to have a future in his life. But now, he just can't think of stuff like that any longer. He needs to become stronger in order to protect what he wants to protect. From this day onward, he is not Jin Ung, who is a normal and kind student. He is the successor of the Bear Gang. Eventually, he arrives in the training room, where Sang is adequately dressed to say the least, and he explains that first, they will do a basic physical fitness test, starting with the 3 most common exercises. He can't hide his excitement, so he can't wait to see how he performs. Jin Ung asks what basic exercises he's talking about, and Sang notes that first, there is squats, so they should try that with an empty bar. When Jin Ung gets into position, Sang instructs him to tighten his core muscles and sit down slowly, and he shouldn't worry about injuries, as he will be right behind him. While he is still preparing to do it, Sang is impressed by his posture. But when it's time to do it, Jin Ung struggles hard to go up, but eventually makes it after sweating quite a lot. Sang did not expect for him to be so weak, as it was only 20 kilograms or 44 pounds. He is sure that he could do at least a few more if he asked, but they should move on to the next task as he doesn't want to injure him. So next, they move on to the bench press. In this exercise, Sang also assists him, as it will be safer if he spots him like this. Jin Ung is scared about something else, however, as he wonders why he is getting this kind of view all of a sudden. Sang promises that this is for his own safety, so even if it feels awkward, he has to bear with it for a little while. As Jin Ung begins to push the bar back, he starts shaking and his face turns red, so he asks Sang for help. He does just that, but thinks that in total, this boy managed to train with only 40 kilograms, or 88 pounds. He is way too weak. Just what kind of training should he even give him? Now he knows why he got beaten up so frequently by that moon-faced bastard. Even so, the show must go on. So while sweating a bit, Sang notes that the final test they will be conducting is the deadlift. He just needs to slowly get into position while raising the bar, but he should tell him if it's too hard for him, as now, he doesn't have any types of expectations. Rather surprisingly, Jin Ung manages to lift the bar quite easily, making Sang very impressed. He thinks that if he did it so easily, it would be fine to add more weights. So when they do that, Jin Ung is still able to pick it up and raise it, quite easily in fact. Sang is nothing short of amazed, and Jin Ung finds this exercise quite easy, so he says that he can do more of these if he wants him to. Sang is too stunned to speak, as everything that happened now is just illogical. How did he manage to only do 40 kilograms or 88 points in the bench press and squats, but now he's doing 100 kilograms or 220 pounds in a deadlift? That's when he finally realizes that this deadlift monster was created by the repetitive motion of helping the elderly lift their heavy things as old people are known to carry around heavy stuff, for some reason. If that is really the case, he needs to test his theory out, so he tells Ji Ung that they should test his grip power as one last test, and the best way to do that is arm wrestling. Ji Ung doesn't know how that is considered fair, as he must be much stronger than he is, and his arm looks like a damn dinosaur leg. Reluctantly, he goes to the table and sits down, while Sang says that he will take it easy on him, since he is a beginner. Ji Ung asks about the rules, and Sang explains that all he needs to do is push his arm down, or his arm will get pushed down. Those are the rules. Gon and the other uncles that were in the training room notice that they are arm wrestling, so they all gather up to see what will happen, as they are also curious. Sang notices that the young master is holding his arm too tightly, and tells him to relax it a bit, as it will improve his grip. He thinks that he has another theory for how the young master got so much strength in that particular area, but he can only confirm it by testing it out now. He tells him to use all of his strength to push his arm down, but Ji Ung is scared, as how can he win against someone like him when he is just at the beginning of his training? Sang tells him to never have this type of mentality, as he shouldn't just give up without giving it his all first. He can at least try to push it as much as he can, but he can't promise that it will be easy. When they finally begin wrestling, Sang is immediately pushed back a bit, making the others think that he let the young master do that on purpose. And even Gon says that this won't be fun if he lets him win on purpose, only because he is their young master. He should also try. Unfortunately, Sang isn't actually letting him win on purpose, as he is struggling to hold his arm up, while his head begins to turn red. The others see this color change, and some think that this might be for real, as he can't fake that sort of reaction. Sang finds Ji Ung's grip strength utterly ridiculous, but his theory is confirmed. It's because of his grip that he managed to deadlift so much. However, the question is now, how did he get such a grip? That's when he finally remembers. Around 10 years ago, the young master was giving a massage to Jae-uk, who called him kind for it, and as a result, he started to do it for everyone. He did it almost every day. Even recently, he was still doing it, so Sang feels like a fool for not noticing it earlier. He even remembers that he could adjust the pressure of his grip in a split second. What the young master now has is monstrous grip power, because of his constant massages. Now he cannot hope to compete against him, but it's fine even if he were to lose, as now he finally sees the light at the end of the tunnel. He can figure out what kind of training he can give him now. However, he will not just take this loss without fighting back, since it would be disrespectful to him and to the young master. He must go all out. He does just that, but Ji Ung is not budging in the slightest, and he is extremely focused on exerting force. The others wonder if any of this is real, but they are all sweating profusely at the sight. Sang tries and tries to even the stakes, but even with his head red like a tomato, he can't defeat the young master, who pushes him back fully. He can't believe that he actually won, and as Sang lays on the ground utterly defeated, the other uncles can't believe that something like this happened, as Sang is one of the top-tier arm wrestlers in the whole organization. Sang breathes heavily as he thinks that the young master was already so strong, but he just didn't know how to use his strength. So if he teaches him to, he could become the strongest person in the whole school. Perhaps even unifying an entire inventory would be too easy for him. Just now, he saw the fire of the Bear Gang boss in him. The same fire that made the Fire Bear Gang what it is today. Sang tells the young master to lay down beside him, and even if he finds it weird, he still does it. And so they look like they are trying to stargaze, even though they are inside. Sang explains that from what he saw today, he definitely has the potential to be very strong, which Ji Ung doesn't believe, as this arm wrestling match was faked, right? To give him a little bit of an ego boost or something? There is no way he actually managed to beat him. Sang says that it does not matter if he let him win or not. What matters is the end result, whether he won or lost. Even if he let him win on purpose, he is still the one who won. So moving forward, they will do their utmost to ensure that he never loses again. That is what it means to he the Fire Bear Gang's successor. However, if he wants to know, he really lost against him in the arm wrestling match just now, so that's why he said that he had tons of potential. For today, he will not go to school, as they need to start the closed doors training immediately. Ji Ung asks what that is, and Sang explains that from this point forward, all communication with the outside world is strictly prohibited. Ji Ung tries to refuse, but Sang asks if he expects someone to contact him urgently or something. If that's not it, then he should only think about becoming a stronger man. He wanted to become strong in order to beat up all of the bad people, and become the worst, and most importantly, beat the mophead and get his ring back. That is only possible with pain, because where there is pain, there is also change. He should accept this pain and relish in it, however, so he should trust him, as he promises to make him the strongest person there is. Jin Ung accepts his help, and they both start walking like real men to another room. A whole 3 days later, Jung is quite confused to not see Jin Ung here for the 3rd time in a row. So after class, when his friends are talking about a game and how much rank they have, Jung comes behind them and asks why Jin Ung isn't coming to school, as it's been happening for a while. They explain that they don't know much at all, as he isn't responding to messages or calls. One even tried to go to his house, but some scary uncles were walking around the place, so he decided to run away. Jung finds this whole situation quite confusing, so he can't help but wonder if something really happened to that guy. While walking home, Jung walks by a bakery and he decides to buy something, but not for himself, for his sister, who was waiting for him close to their home and jumps on him when she sees him. Jung told her to not wait for him outside, yet here she is. She explains that she remembered, but it's quite boring around here, as that kind classmate of his hasn't been around here anymore. Jung notes that he also didn't come to school for the past few days, so maybe something did happen to him. The sister wonders if he fainted somewhere after getting beaten into the ground by someone, like when he tried to help her previously. Jung says that she sure has a splendid imagination, but who knows at this point. She gets mad at him, as that guy is extremely weak. Even she could do some damage, so that's why she keeps telling him to protect him, since he is so strong. Jung picks her up and tells her that she will look for him to appease her worry, and so they both walk to their house. Much later, Jung arrives at Jin Ung's address, as he got it from the form teacher, but he is quite surprised by what he is seeing right now. He didn't know that bro was so rich. 2 of his patrolling uncles appear, and they ask who he is and who sent him here, while one even starts pulling something out. Jung introduces himself and notes that he is from Jiran High. The uncle has no clue what he is talking about. Maybe it's the name of a family that is around the area, but they haven't heard of it at all. Jung is quite surprised by their utter stupidity, so he explains that is the name of his high school. He is Jin Ung's classmate. They immediately change their demeanor and invite him inside with open arms, as any friend of the young master is also their friend. They immediately get scolded for this action, as Jae-uk can't believe that these dumbasses let a stranger inside only because he said that he was the young master's friend. They are damn lucky that this was actually the case, but what would they have done if it wasn't? What if he was an assassin from the Dragon Gang or someone similar? They both apologize profusely while saying that they are ashamed of themselves. Jae-uk apologizes to Jung for suspecting him and tells him to sit comfortably from now on. Jung agrees, while thinking that it's very fortunate that he had his student card with him. Otherwise, things would have turned out quite differently. He might have been swimming with the fishes by now. Jae-uk asks why he is looking for the young master, and Jung explains that he only came here to check up on him, see if he's okay, as he was worried considering he hasn't showed up at school for a few days already. Jae-uk notes that the young master is in closed doors training right now, so there is no way to contact him. But that's when he notices Jung's bag, who explains that it's his bag from the judo club he joined. Seeing this, Jae-uk decides to get someone to call Sang over. That person is reluctant to do it, as he is now under closed doors training with the young master. So would it really be wise to bother them? Jae-uk gives him one glare and tells him to call him already, before he gets really mad. When Sang arrives, he asks Jae-uk why he called for him. But that's when he notices Jung, who immediately bows down to him and refers to him as his senior. Jae-uk explains that he called for him because this guy is from the same school as the young master, but is in the judo club. But it seems that they have met previously, judging by their reactions. Sang notes that he's correct, as he is a junior that is close to Lee-do Park, the guy he was going to introduce him to, so they had a meal together. Jung didn't expect for him to be Jin Ung's uncle, and thinks that with this, things are going to get complicated. But he hopes that he can get out of here soon. Jae-uk tells Sang to let him meet the young master, and with a final bow to Jae-uk, Jung follows Sang, and when they arrive at a door upstairs, Sang notes that he came at a really good time, and if he hasn't exercised before coming here, he should warm up just a little. When they enter the training room, Jung notices Jin Ung training with somebody. This must be what he has been doing instead of going to school. Suddenly, Sang tells him to go ahead and spar with the young master once, but he is reluctant to, as Jin Ung isn't even in a judo uniform, and there's a gigantic gap in strength between them. So would it really be wise to do something like that? Sang notices that he is confused, so he explains that what the young master is practicing now is not judo. He should look carefully before deciding if he should refuse or not. Jung does just that, and notices that Jin Ung is going for a throw, but he didn't grab his opponent with both of his hands, so he can't do a throw like that. His expectations are shattered, however, as he picks up his opponent with only one hand. Just what kind of gripping power does this guy have? Jin Ung screams out as he throws his opponent to the ground. Deadly move! One-armed throw! Jung is left speechless to say the least, and Sang notes that if he's around Du Park's level, he should be one of the top fighters in the country, but he should know that the young master is not training to take titles away and win awards. He is doing this only to become stronger. So now that he has seen him in action, would he like to have a go too? In response to this, Jung drops his judo bag and says that he has underestimated Ji Ung. He apologizes for that, but now he would like to have a go against him. That's when he notices Jung's presence in the room, and Sang explains that it's time for him to fight someone who is of his age and much stronger than him. So he should face this challenge without being fearful. He should do his best. If he is able to do that, most of the people in his school will become really easy to beat. Jung prepares to fight while saying that he's glad to see him, but Ji Ung sure as hell isn't. Just how can he fight this guy? Jung notices his positioning and thinks that his foundation must come from judo, given that Sang taught him. Gon also appears and asks who that big kid is, but Sang only says that they should just watch and see the potential of their young master flourish. Jung thinks that even though he trained for 3 consecutive days without coming to school, his movements are still clumsy, so he should be easy to defeat. He inches closer, and then suddenly jumps in his direction, as he cannot hope to defend himself since their physique differences are too big. He easily grabs him by his collar, making Ji Ung think that he will now use a leg technique to push him down, so he puts his legs behind one of his legs. But Jung says that something like that is pointless, as he uses more force to throw him to the ground, making Ji Ung stunned for a bit. Jung accepts that he is agile, but he is also light, to the point where he doesn't even need to use his legs. Gon screams for the young master, as he is worried for him, but Sang calms him down, as he hasn't seen anything yet. Ji Ung gets up slowly but surely, which makes Jung ask if he's okay, but when he sees him get into position, he does the same, as it would be disrespectful not to. He tries to use the same lunging grab once again, but Ji Ung uses a backstep and gets into a boxing pose. He then tries to hit Jung with a right hook, which he finds is too wide, but even if he does block it, his punch is still very heavy, making him wonder if it's because of his grip strength. Suddenly he goes for a tackle, which Jung thinks of as useless, because the difference in sizes won't allow him to do anything. Ji Ung grabs his thigh tightly, making Jung think that he's just desperate at this point. But that's when Ji Ung's eyes become filled with rage and he uses another of his deadly moves, Apple Crush! This makes Jung recoil in pain, and he wonders what that was. A pinch? Sang smiles as Gon is quite shocked by the whole ordeal. Jung tries to throw a punch, but Ji Ung uses another backstep to get away. Jung is quite surprised that he would just resort to pinching like this, but anything goes in a fight. Jung tries to go in once again, but his leg gives up on him, so he only makes it halfway before he has to stop again. Gon asks Sang if he really taught the young master how to pinch, but Sang says it's not pinching. It sure looks like it, but would Jung really be unable to move like this from a simple pinch? The young master is actually causing direct damage to his thigh structure using his crazy grip power. It's a move that far exceeds a normal massage. It's sort of like acupressure. Seeing that Jung can no longer move, Ji Ung goes for another punch, which he easily blocks. But this makes him mad, and he asks if he really wants to take him on for real. Using this distraction as an opportunity, Ji Ung throws his other fist directly at Jung's neck, almost hitting his Adam's apple. He stumbles to breathe as Ji Ung apologizes, as he didn't mean to try and actually kill him. It's that he can only reach his neck. He was aiming for his face. Jung, with his eyes now bloodshot, notes that he is a real coward. But from now on, he will take him seriously. Eventually their fight ends with Jung coming out on top. But Ji Ung didn't go down without a fight, it seems, as they are both huffing and puffing for air. Jung thinks out loud, wondering why someone like him lost to that Chel bastard. But Sang explains that it's because the young master has never fought before, as he avoided fighting to be a nice person and eventually grew to fear it. But for his mindset to change completely, he needs a strong opponent, someone like him. He thanks him for the spar, and for it he will treat him with some medical aid and then with some food. Jung agrees and Gon escorts him out of the room. Sang crouches down to Ji Ung, who starts to smile, which surprises Sang, and as he gets up, he asks for some medical aid too. Sang can't help himself, so he asks why he smiled like that. With another smile, Ji Ung explains that he can't really explain it, but he feels refreshed for some reason. Sang doesn't know if he's a masochist or something, so he tells him to follow as he will prepare a meal for him. He starts preparing some high-quality beef for both the young master and Jung, and after he finishes, he serves it to them, noting that protein intake is crucial after a workout. Jung looks at it and notices that it's high quality. Jin Ung asks if he's allergic or something, but he notes that isn't it, but he shouldn't be worried about it. Sang has a proposition for him, to stay here for 1 week, as he will provide him with accommodations and food, but in exchange, he has to train with the young master every day. Jong thanks him for the offer, but he has a younger sister at home, and since it's only the two of them living together, he can't stay at another place, except at home. This is the first time Jin Ung has heard that he is alone with his sister. Sang asks if he could come after class ends, but that's a no-go too, as he has judo classes after class ends. Sang asks if he will help with the training if that is taken care of, which Jung agrees with. So Sang quickly pulls out his phone and calls Du Park, explaining that he wants to train Jung for a week, which Du Park immediately agrees with. With that, his judo club duties are taken care of, so he should come after school and training with the young master from now on. Jung agrees, and notes that he will talk with Senior Du Park later, but Sang tells him that it's not needed, as he should continue to dig in as he can always make more. And he will even give him some special training after he is done with the young master, as a bonus. Jong thanks him for the meal and such, but Sang notes that he should be the one to thank him. Even so, Jung still looks at the beef longingly, which makes Jin Ung say that if he doesn't like it, they can always swap it out with something else. Jung says that he doesn't have a problem with it, since it's very delicious. While he is eating, Jin Ung pulls Sang to the side and whispers something to him. After their meal is done and Jin Ung is as stuffed as Sang normally is, Jung thanks him for the meal as he gets up and notes that he will leave now, since it's getting late. Jin Ung walks him out, but as they do that, Jung wonders where his uncles went, as he wanted to say goodbye to them too. But even Jin Ung doesn't know, as they seem to have gone somewhere. Jung also compliments his house, as it looks very nice. They eventually make it to the gate, and Jung tries to leave. But Jin Ung stops him and gives him 2 packets of beef, as he said that he has a younger sister at home, so he should take this and enjoy it with her. Jung says that it's fine, but Jin Ung insists. He should think of this as payment for the spar they had. Jung takes the beef and walks away, with Jin Ung thanking him once again for today. It seems that his kind nature is still not fully submerged. As Jung puts the beef in his bag, he smiles, as he is sure that his sister will like it. He walks home with his legs still limping, and sure enough when he arrives, his sister is ecstatic to find that he actually brought home beef. The next day at school, Ji continues to try and contact Jin Ung, but he doesn't even read the messages, making her wonder what he is even doing. Maybe he got hospitalized after getting beaten up somewhere else. At the same time, she also has an internal conflict, as she shouldn't care for that loser. Just why would she care? Her friends look at this and note that it must be pretty serious. Is this what real love looks like? One of them suggests that instead of acting like this, she should just go to his house and see if he's there. The other agrees, as something must have happened to that guy if he didn't show up to school so many times. And if she feels that it's too awkward, she could ask one of his loser friends to go with her. Her face lights up at that idea, as she can finally visit him without being too awkward. But she never talked about Jin Ung before. So how did they find out? Her friends are quite surprised that she didn't expect them to see it, considering she is fawning over that guy like he is some sort of celebrity. In fact, Jin Ung is probably the only guy who doesn't know. Anyway, instead of loitering around here with them, she should go and see him. Ji didn't expect this reaction from them, but walks away smiling and thanking them because of it. They are both surprised that she can be this kind of cute, as they have only seen her ugly side, it seems. Unfortunately, when she goes to ask his friends, they both refuse her, as they are extremely busy with something. She asks what that would be, and they explain that today is the day that they, the Soul Duo, climb up to the legendary silver rank, only achievable by the best of players. Ji has absolutely zero clue why they would care for such a thing, but one of his friends says that she just wouldn't understand. The opportunity to rank up is far more important than any woman, or knowing that Jin Ung is fine. She notes that bronzies like them shouldn't care about rank that much, as she is platinum and she doesn't care much. This pushes all of their wrong buttons, and like rabid dogs they say that she was just carried by her champion, or that they will search her ID on a player stats website. She shouldn't lie like this. While covering her nose from their bronze mouths, she says that her ID is Princess Yeji, but if they are not going to go with her, they should just get lost, as she doesn't have time for insects. Sure enough, after they search her ID, they see that she is Platinum 1, leagues better than them, but at one point she was also Bronze, so their dream of climbing the ranks isn't over yet. Ji wonders what to do now, as she doesn't want to go alone, but that's when she sees Jung and asks if he's free today. After they go outside, she thanks him for coming with her, as she didn't want to go with a teacher, or even worse, alone. He says that it's no problem, since he was going to his house in the first place. This surprises her, as she didn't say anything about Jin Ung's house. Does everyone just know already? Jung confirms that is indeed the case, and with a heavy blush, she tells him to keep going, as she doesn't know where his place is. A person notices the two of them walking together, and asks the guy next to him if that's not Jung going out with his sister or something. This is the Year 3 judo club leader Do Park. He notes that he saw them for a while now, but this makes him wonder if Jung doesn't have good eyes or something, as his sister doesn't seem to be a good fit for him. The other guy says that he must be happy, since the junior he is close with seems to be getting closer to his sister. Do Park notes that if it's someone like that giant, he could entrust his sister to him, as he is a good enough person. Somewhere else, Chel and his friend go to the place where they will sell the ring, with Chel even taking one of his brother's suits and wearing it to look more like an adult. Unfortunately, his moon-shaped face can't be fixed, but it should be fine like this. Rather sheepishly, his friend tells him to go in first, but Chel finds this place quite creepy. But since they said that they will buy the ring, they have no reason to refuse. Once they go inside, the store is rather empty, and Chel screams at the familiar store owner to look at his customers when they walk in, otherwise they might take offense. The man does not turn around, which makes Chel ask his friend what is going on, but his friend is already shaking and quivering like a scared rat, making Chel wonder what the hell is going on. Suddenly, the bald man starts to sing a hide-and-seek song, as three of the uncles close up the shop completely, even pulling the blinds over. Chel is extremely confused right now, but the man still continues to sing, while preparing his iconic pointy knuckle duster for some action. Chel starts screaming at him, contorting his face as he does so, becoming even uglier. The man gets up and Chel threatens to call the police while being scared for his life. Eventually, the man finishes singing and notes that even if he hides, he will find him. Chel's face turns white as he sees Sang, who says that he shouldn't be so surprised at this turn of events, as besides him stealing his ring from him, he has other reasons to beat him into a pulp. Chel finally understands what is going on. His bastard friend ratted him out. That's on him though, as a rat like him can only be friends with other rats. Not knowing any way out of the situation, Chel explains that he didn't know the ring was his, so he will give it back now, but Sang says that he does not need it. Chel then puts his fists up, as he shouldn't be scared of a pig bastard that can't grow hair on his head, as he might be a weakling. Sang says that his comment hurt a little just now, so in return he will hurt him. He punches him with the knuckle busters straight in the chest, making him scream out in pain and lose his ability to breathe for a bit. Chel instantly starts pleading with him, as he just pierced his body with those damn things. But Sang doesn't care, and tells him to keep that ring on him wherever he goes, as the owner will soon find it and collect it from him. But he warns him now, he will really kill him if he were to lose it or sell it. He also notices that he has quite a lot of hair, so he tells his friend to bring the shaver over. It seems that Chel is about to graduate from his status as a mop head and become an eraser head. After that is done with, Jung and Ji arrive at Jin Ung's house, but with Jung's confirmation, he lets both of them inside. As they walk, Gon tells them that this is the last day of training. But Ji doesn't even hear him as she looks at all of the fancy stuff around the house. It seems that Jin Ung is rich. No wonder he didn't come to school. When they get to the training room, Gon knocks and tells Sang that the young master's friends have arrived. He gets out of the room and asks Jung who this girl is, and she introduces herself as Jin Ung's friend, while thinking that she remembers this guy from the time he came to school. Sang is pleasantly surprised that the young master has a girlfriend, which makes her immediately blush and say that that's not how it is, at least not yet, confusing both Jung and Gon. Alas, they go inside, where Jin Ung seems to have been hard at work training. Ji is shocked to see him like this, and she notes that he looks much stronger. He asks what she is doing here, and she explains that she came here with Jung because she was confused about him not coming to school all of this time. Sang is glad that the young master has some good friends, and tells her to look while they are training. She sits down and does just that, but why was she made to observe something like this in the first place? Jung congratulates Jin Ung as his movements have become much better, with him noting that they trained every day, so it would be bad if they didn't. Sang watches this with a happy grin on his face, as the decision to make Jung train with Jin Ung has proven to be an amazing one. The young master has also gained a lot of confidence because of it. Jung grabs him, and even though he tries to make him let go, Jung summons enough strength to throw him to the ground using only one arm. Ji is sure that must have hurt, but wonders how much of this she will have to watch. Jung tells him that people with his amount of gripping power are few and far between, so he should focus on that instead of striking. Jin Ung says that he wants to do that since they trained so much for it. But he has such long arms, it's hard for him to get close. Gon says that this is precisely why he taught him the steps, and Sang says that all he needs to do is move in quickly. However, what he is doing right now is already amazing. For some reason, Ji feels left out, as she just doesn't get why they are so close. After hitting each other and throwing each other around, they are all happy and talking. Just why are they like this? She does not understand men at all, it seems. Jin Ung finally turns his attention to her and apologizes for making her wait, but they should go and eat some pasta, as his uncle is a great cook. She agrees, and they all sit down at the table, with Jung saying that his sister enjoyed the beef that he gave them previously quite a lot, so he thanks him once again. Jin Ung is glad that she did, and notes that he has some prepared today too, so he should take it once he leaves. As they keep talking, Ji just watches but eventually interrupts, and asks why he didn't come to school. He explains that it's because he had closed door training, but that doesn't explain to her why he wasn't contactable. Jung explains that he couldn't use his phone during the training, as he wasn't even allowed to leave the premises most of the time. Seeing that the training has ended, Sang hands him the phone, which he happily receives, and he checks his messages with her, wondering what she said. Ji screams at him to not read them out loud, which he agrees with, but then openly asks why she was so upset with him for not reading the messages. She tells him to read it after they leave, which makes Jung let out a little giggle. She naturally starts screaming at him from embarrassment. Gon and Sang watch this from a corner, with Gon noting that this might be the first time the young master had friends over, not realizing that maybe it was because of how they look. But nonetheless, Sang is just happy to see him so happy. When both Ji and Jung leave, Jin Ung sees them out, and they immediately start bickering about the beef he got. Sang appears behind Jin Ung like he is some sort of serial killer, and says that friends are a really good thing to have. Jin Ung thanks him for the cooking once again, but he shouldn't worry about it since it's his job after all. He should go and rest now though, as tomorrow will be his first day back to school. Jin Ung thanks him again, and notes that he will give utmost tomorrow, with Sang saying that he will always believe in him, no matter what. When morning comes, Jin Ung gets up with confidence on his face, so Sang gives him his new uniform to wear. He puts it on but can't seem to fold the collar, with Sang explaining that he sewed in wires in his collar, so that it can always look upright and menacing. With that, they get going, but Jin Ung notes that he should buy a new school uniform later, as he does not like this. As he walks down the stairs, everyone wishes him a good morning while bowing down. When they get outside, the other uncles are waiting for him with a car ready, but Jin Ung doesn't get it. Sang explains that from now on, they will accompany him to school, with another uncle saying that he should get in, as he was a Class 1 vehicle driver in the army, so he can count on him to get him to school safely. Jin Ung decides to get in and asks Sang if he won't come in too, but he notes that he will get in the car behind him. Curious about what he's talking about, Jin Ung peeks his head out and spots 2 black cars behind them, making him sigh, as maybe he shouldn't have accepted the successor training. Eventually, the uncle tells him to walk from this point onwards, which he is happy about as he didn't want others to see him go to school like that. But that's when he notices Chel, who is now wearing a cap, and tells him to get out of his sight already. Jin Ung doesn't want to though, as he is now alone and with his training, he is sure to beat him, so he smiles. Chel tells him this is his last chance, as he is feeling like crap now. Jin Ung tells him to show his right hand, as there is something he is looking for, so he should hold his hand out only for a moment. As Jin Ung asks him to show his hand, Chel is mad that this damn weakling is suddenly acting up, thinking he is something. But that's when Jin Ung uses a deadly move named Pickaxe to grab his ribcage and pull it down, making Chel scream and show his hand, where the uncle's ring is still attached. Chel is now extremely mad, as he was in a very bad mood in the first place, but now he will kill him if he has to. He kicks Jin Ung in the gut, making him fall back for a bit, letting Chel notice that something is shining in the alleyway. When he gets a closer look, he notices that it's the fat bastard who is signaling him that he will die if he just doesn't sit still. Chel wonders what this bastard is still doing with him, but that's when the dots in his dumb head finally connect. Jin Ung's current uniform looks exactly like the uniform of the bastard that threw the rock at him. The fat old man said that the owner of the ring will come to pick it up, so the owner of this ring must be Jin Ung, meaning that he was the one who threw the rock at him, meaning that it's because of this loser bastard that he suffered all of this humiliation. His face starts contorting even further, making Jin Ung wonder what is going on with him. But that's when he lets out a loud scream as his eyes glow red, and he decides to throw a wide punch. Jin Ung manages to catch his wide punch, with his grip ready to crush it. He remembers what Sang said, that punching and ground techniques are fine to use, but he must use his amazing grip strength. As if the opponent is caught in it, they will feel pain that they have never felt before. Jin Ung uses another technique, potato crush, to make Chel scream out in pain, and his hand seems to be broken, or at least dislocated from only this. But just how did this bastard get so strong all of a sudden? Jin Ung tells him to stop groveling around like a worm and get up already. Chel raises his other fist, and while shaking, says that he can beat him to a pulp with only one hand anyways, so he should know already that he is dead, as he acted out too much and too suddenly. How did he dare to mess with the mighty Chel? He goes in to throw another punch, making Jin Ung think that the punch is indeed strong, but it's nothing compared to the man he trained with, Jong. Chel prepares another punch, while noting that losers like him should just stay put and get hit. As that is their fate, he will even show him how to do it. That's when Sang signals him once again, and gives him a face that makes him sweat, and also makes him think about what they talked about previously. When he got caught in the jewelry shop, as Sang was giving him his haircut, he told him to let the original owner of the ring beat him up, let him take it naturally, or else he will have to put him through hell itself. Chel, with tears in his eyes, agreed, and as the haircut continued, he looked at his friend. While promising to deal with him after all of this ends, he cannot believe that he did something like this. Sang says that it's only natural that he hates his friend after this, but he should know that his friend desperately tried to cover for him. But if he doesn't do as he says, he will become like him. He tells him to start showing his new haircut, and the friend does just that, with his hair actually being fake, as his natural one was completely cut off. Sang explained that his friend covered for him until the bitter end and even tried to run away, but he naturally got caught, and this is the price he had to pay for running away. He now looks like Mr. Clean. Chel asked if it's really all right for him to do such an atrocious thing to some students. But Sang didn't feel an ounce of remorse, however, as even if he is a student, he acted up too much and didn't know his place. As he cuts the last of his hair, he tells him to start cleaning up the place and also warned him, if he ever tries something funny, he will hunt him down to the ends of the earth and shave everything on his body so that his hair will never grow again. He then demanded an answer, and with teary eyes, Chel agreed, with his bowling ball of a head being fully discovered. Now he finally gets it. The bastard was asking him to just get beaten up by this loser. But at this point, he doesn't even have a choice, as if he hits him, he will certainly incur the Baldy's wrath. As Jin Ung's punch comes closer, Chel screams out once again, as he knows that he cannot defend himself, so he takes the full brunt of the attack in his nose, with Jin Ung feeling like he is just letting him win. As Chel sits on the ground and his nose starts to bleed, he can't believe that he is actually getting beaten up by such a weak bastard. Just what is his luck? Jin Ung puts his hand forwards, noting that this must be why he was wearing a cap. He changed his hairstyle in a rather eccentric style. Chel gets up on his own and asks why he is getting friendly so suddenly, as he is still a loser, but Jin Ung wasn't trying to help him. He uses the pickaxe technique once again to put Chel on his knees, and finally gets the ring off of his grubby hands. With this, his mission has been realized, and his path to become a bad guy continues. Sang comes from his hiding spot and congratulates the young master for dealing with him, as he is truly proud that he managed without any help. Jin Ung asks when he got here, and Sang says that they just arrived. As he's being dragged away like trash, Chel notices that he is being called Young Master. Just who exactly is this guy? Sang tells him to hop into the car, which Jin Ung is confused about, as he is almost at school, but Sang insists, as they have to at least drive him to the school gates. When they arrive, Jin Ung laments having to do this, while the other students notice the myriad of black cars parked in front of the school, with Jin Ung's friends thinking that they must be gangsters. The chief teacher and another teacher look at this in surprise, making Jin Ung even more scared, but he decides to let things go with the flow, as that will certainly be better than resisting right now. All of the uncles get out of the cars and line up near the school gate, with Ji and her friends also noticing them now, since it's hard to ignore them at this point. Jin Ung's friends notice that the uncle with spiky hair is always in front of Jin Ung's house, while the teachers wonder if they should do something, but the chief teacher has an inkling as to who this might be. Gon opens the young master's door and he gets out, with a confident look on his face. As confidently as his face, he walks to the school gates, while the uncles bow down to him and wish him a good day at school. Gon and Sang can barely hold their tears in, as they have waited for this moment for 17 years. Ji's friend starts screaming at her, as she likes the bastard, but she didn't know he was a gangster. Does she want to be related to such dangerous people? His friends are also shocked. as they did not expect that their angel friend is actually from a house of gangsters. As he gets past the school gate, he meets up with Jung, who notes that he got quite the flashy entrance, as everyone is looking at him right now. Ji Ung is very glad to see a friendly face and says that he is extremely embarrassed with this. But Jung says that he walked in that strange way well enough, but since he is still doing it, he should do it right. Ji Ung knows that full well. Even if he is kinda awkward with it, he needs to dedicate himself to it. Ji just looks at them and walks away. So one of her friends bumps her shoulder and tells her to go after him. Even if he is a gangster, he is still the same Ji Ung she knows and most likely loves, so she should go and hit on him already. She agrees and goes after them, noting that they should go together. And as they do just that, she clings onto Ji Ung and asks him a myriad of questions about what happened. His friends just look at this, wondering when their friend became close with those two. The other friend asks Yoon if he knew any of this, as he knows that they have been friends for years. So does it make sense for him to not know that he is actually a gangster? Yoon just stands silent for a while and says that he probably has his reasons. As they walk towards the school, the female teacher asks the chief to go and do something, as things like this shouldn't be allowed to happen, especially at the school gates. The chief does want to do something, but Sang looks at him with a monotone expression, but he can feel his ominous aura, basically telling him to not do anything if he values his own life. With this, he turns around, making the female teacher wonder if his story about going 1 versus 17 against some gangsters is real. He thinks that even if it is, that man cannot be looked at as one person. He is the equivalent of 20 people in one body. He cannot solve this issue by himself, so he needs to organize an emergency meeting with the principal. They do just that, as every single teacher is gathered in one room, with the principal finding it hard to believe that the kind Ji Ung is actually the young master of a gangster family. The chief insists that this is true, and the female teacher backs him up, adding that the students were all scared, so they need to take some precautionary measures for this. Another teacher tells her to know her place, as if they mess with them, they will certainly get harassed in the future, and their school will be ruined. The principal says that they can't just judge a person like this without knowing anything. He will call Ji Ung later and have a heart-to-heart with him. Until then, nobody is allowed to speak badly of him. The chief does not want to let the matter go, as he knows very well how those kinds of people act. They are the lowlifes of modern society, evil incarnate. They can't just let someone like that in their prestigious school. The principal doesn't know what to think, as Ji Ung is very well behaved and a role model for most. He is considered the pride of this school. He is also the student council president for the next term. Additionally, 10 certificates of merits in this room belong to him. The chief says that it doesn't matter, as his roots were rotten from the start, and soon the entire tree will be corrupted. The principal asks what he suggests, and the chief notes that they cannot let the other students get influenced by them, so they need to transfer him as quickly as possible. This decision shocks everyone, as that will certainly incur the gangster's wrath. At the roof of the school, a girl rushes to the current council president, Hyun, and tells him that Ji Ung comes from a gangster family. He calmly closes his book of idioms and notes that this must have been why there was such a commotion early in the morning. The vice asks if he already knew, as he is quite calm. But Hyun didn't. This is news to him as well. The kind and behaved Ji Ung is the young master of a dangerous gang. What a surprising tale of events. The vice president thinks that he was hiding his gangster demeanor with all of this kind. But Hyun tells her that he wasn't faking that. He really was kind to others, and even now, he is sure that he is someone who exerts kindness from the bottom of his heart. The vice president still feels that it's a problem, as he is the student council president for the next term. They cannot allow that. Hyun notes that it's true, as bad rumors travel very fast, so other schools will certainly find this out eventually, which is damaging to their school, which should be a role model for all schools. While he has no ill will towards Ji Ung, his future as the next student council president is over, but he will have to chat with him directly to confirm it first. As Ji Ung arrives to class, Soo Jin looks at him worryingly, while Sang-gu starts screaming at him at the top of his lungs, as he always had a hunch that he is an evil gangster bastard. The other students also start talking about him, as his kindness up until now was fake, and they should be careful, as they might get beaten up if he hears them. One even asks Soo Jin if she knew about this, which she didn't. The students that used to greet him warmly are now looking at him with loathing eyes, which Ji Ung doesn't take well at all. He remembers all of the thanks that he received in the past, with everyone calling him an angel and loving him for who he was, but now they call him a gangster, and they don't even dare to look in his eyes, even though Ji Ung is now shaking and on the brink of tears. Ji and Jung come behind him, asking him to go in, but he starts hyperventilating as his entire world crashes down on him. Jung notices that he's not alright and asks him if something is wrong, but that's when he almost vomits everywhere. So he decides to run away before that happens. He knew that people would treat him like this, because Jae-uk warned him that it only takes one mistake for him to become bad. However, he didn't expect for it to hurt this bad. Fortunately, he meets his friends, but unfortunately, they also have a different vision of him because of this, so they choose to walk past him. Jin Ung has had enough, so he lets all of his tears out, while looking at them with only bitterness in his eyes. Everyone has betrayed him, even his dear friends. He tells them to stop and talk, making Yoon shake and ask if this is why he was able to act out like this and become a bad person. But Jin Ung doesn't get why they are acting like this so suddenly. Yoon says that he didn't understand why he said he wanted to become like Chel, but now he does, as he is the son of a gangster. His other friend agrees with Yoon, as he should have never been friends with a dangerous gangster like him. He thought previously that his uncles were a bit weird, but now he knows that they are all gangsters. So he should say it now. Is he a gangster, or is he not? Jin Ung confirms that he is with a tired expression, which makes Yoon even madder, as he could have at least told him about it, and not keep it hidden for so long. 3 years ago, while they were having some food at a restaurant, news about a successful capture of some gang members blared, most of them being from the Hidden Dragon Gang. That's when Yoon said that he hated gangsters with a burning passion, and that he will become a police officer and catch all of them. Jin Ung knew that something must have happened for him to act this way, so he thought that it would be better to tell him later about his family origin. He says that he never got around to it, but Yoon doesn't believe him. In the 10 years that they have been friends, he didn't get around to it. What a joke. Does he even consider him a friend at this point? Or was he always just someone to hang out with? Jong and Ji come around, with Jong asking why he ran so suddenly. Yoon looks at them and notes that his new friends are here. The famous bully, Ye Ji, and the top fighter of this school, Jung. Losers like them aren't qualified to be friends with a badass like him anyways. So this is goodbye for good. As they walk away, Ji wonders why those bastards are acting in such a strange way. But Jin Ung falls to the ground, the life completely sucked out of his eyes, making the two worry for him. They drag him to the back to the school, where he is still in a bad mood because of all that has happened today. Jung asks if he feels a bit better after getting some fresh air, but he doesn't answer, as he is now fully in his head, wondering tons of things. Ji says that he should have expected for things to become like this, as he really isn't acting like himself now. He should get up and be a man. Jung wants to get on her case because of what she said now, but she says that she is right, as he knows it too, right? Jin Ung notices that she has a cigarette in her hand, so he asks her if she feels better after smoking something like that. Does it make the pain go away? Both Ji and Jung immediately get on his case and deny him any sort of cigarette, making him wonder why. Why can she do it but he can't? She says that this is only natural. It doesn't suit him in the slightest, and it's also bad for his health. Jin Ung says that now, his identity as the son of a gangster has been found out. So wouldn't that suit him much better? She kind of agrees, making him say that this settles it. Since he is the son of a dangerous gangster, and someone who others will go out of their way to avoid, since he is a real bad person, he should act the part and do bad things, right? He tells Ji that she is also considered a bad person by many, as they say that she is a bully, mostly people in their class. She doesn't know what possessed him to say something like that, but seeing that he doesn't want to listen, she throws her cigarette to the ground and says that she will also stop smoking. Jong tells him that now is not the time to smoke and harm his body. He needs to train even more now. His anger and disappointment will be the ammo for this. Jin Ung suddenly gets mad, as what made the others treat him in such a crude manner, just because he is the son of a gangster. They all made it sound like all he did was harm them, but in reality, he was kind to every single person, no matter how they looked or acted with him. Ji doesn't find why he is so mad, as others will only see his bad sides anyways. That's just how social interactions work. Jung agrees. Even without the bad things that he will do from now on, they will see him as someone who is intimidating and would rather not be associated with. Jin Ung still feels that it's too much, making Jung say that if he wanted to walk down this path, he should have prepared for this outcome earlier. If it were for him, for example, would he not be scared if there were gangsters crowding around his area? If he wants to be bad, he should harden his heart until it becomes like rock. Ji tells him to give it up if it's so hard on him. But Jin Ung cannot give up. There is no turning back from this in the first place. It is already done. Suddenly, he gets a call from Hyun, and when he answers, he asks him to come to the top of the school. as he has something to talk about with him. He gets up and notes that he will be leaving now, but he thanks them for looking out for him. But now he has decided what to do. They both wonder if he will really be okay alone, or this will turn into an incident. When he gets to the roof, he tells Hyeon to spit it out. He asks if he really is the son of a gangster, which doesn't surprise Jin Ung, as everyone is asking him that. But is it really that important? Hyeon says that it's naturally very important. This might ruin the school image and also destroy the atmosphere that the school has. The simple fact that someone as kind-hearted as him came from a gangster family is extremely disappointing. He was actually going to talk with the teachers about it too, but he feels that there's no longer a need for that. Jin Ung tells him to do as he damn pleases, which makes Hyeon say that this isn't like him at all. Just what happened? This comment ticks Jin Ung off. Not like him. What is he like then? He lived as kindly as a human could for 10 entire years, and people started treating him differently, just because of something that happened in the span of a few minutes. Is he saying that he should continue to be kind and look past everything? Since he is kind, he doesn't give a rat's ass about being the student council president or whatever. He can do as he well damn pleases for all he cares. Before letting him go, Hyun asks him one last question. What is he going to do moving forward? Become a gangster, since it's his family's business. Then he should just quit school, as he will certainly ruin the school with his antics in the future. Jin Ung tells him to keep his mouth shut, as he will do as he pleases as well, so he should keep to himself. Hyun still believes that he's a kind guy. He's just mad that everyone is treating him differently. However, because of him, the balance of power in their school is about to be in chaos, and a big storm will soon befall this place. Though, they could use him to take care of all of the scum that are in this school, so he might still have some uses. The uncles continue beating Chel, with the spiky-haired uncle noting that he should just quit school at this point, as he chose an opponent that is way past him. He sheepishly apologizes, making the uncle not want to beat him anymore, as he is too weak to begin with, but he gives him one final warning. The moment he tries to do something, he will have his whole life ruined. He will never recover from what they will do. As the two uncles leave, Chel starts damning Jin Ung with every fiber in his being. As if he wasn't backed by gangsters, he would have ripped him a new one. What will he do when they meet again? Continue to beat him? He will not stand that. He will make sure that he has his revenge. However, first he needs to find his weakness, whatever that may be. But he wonders how he will get information about him. That's when he remembers Soo Jin, as this snake probably has a ton of information about him, since they are childhood friends. All he needs to do is comfort her and get some information. As she gets the call from him, she excuses herself from the class, as she wants to answer. With this, Chel thinks that even if he falls now, he will fall with him. Still at the back of the school, Ji wonders if Jin Ung actually fought with his friends. But why would they even do that? Do they think he's a weakling or something? Why are they making such a fuss over something so stupid? Jung says that he's not certain, but it's not like they fought. It's just that Jin Ung just took the brunt of their argument, one-sidedly. Ji says that she had a good impression of those damn nerds, but now she will kill them if they continue. Why even do that to their longtime friend? Her friends suddenly appear, with one asking where Ji Ung went, with Ji noting that he just left as he had something to do somewhere. They start questioning her about him being a gangster, as they didn't know she was aiming so high. Seeing that he has no reason to be here anymore, considering this will turn into girl talk soon enough, Jong excuses himself from the conversation and walks away, while the others continue to talk about Jin Ung. As he turns the corner, however, he spots Yoon, who is slumped over on a bench, his face showing that he is still mad. He decides to sit next to him and just look at him for a few seconds, making Yoon wonder if he will be sent to the Shadow Realm because of what he did to Jin Ung. Is this guy his bodyguard or something? Instead of that, Jung just says that he has no way to know why he fought with Jin Ung, but he is having a hard time. It's not just them that are turning on him, but the entire school. It's like his old helpful self never existed in their minds. Yoon says that even if this is true, he shouldn't have kept it to himself. He deceived him. They have been close friends since they were in kindergarten. He should have told him, as he had all of these years too. Jung tells him that there's certainly a reason for him keeping this stuff to himself. Why doesn't he try to talk with him? Well, whatever. What's true is that Jin Ung lived to be kind to others for the longest time. And now that they know he's the son of a gangster, they are pointing fingers at him, so they are not really scared of it. Perhaps because deep inside, they still know that Jin Ung was kind to everyone. Before Jung can dramatically walk away with his finished monologue, Yoon says that Jung is not afraid of Jin Ung even though he's from a gangster family. Because he is good at fighting, he can actually fend for himself, not like them. as he knows full well that they are losers. Jung tells him that he is also afraid, but not of Jin Ung, but of his gangster uncles. It has not been a long time since he has known Jin Ung, but he knows full well that he is a really good guy. He should know that much better than that, since they were friends for so long. Like he said, this made Yoon realize something important, as he has misunderstood his best friend. Because of his emotions, he was short-sighted and made a fool of himself in front of him. Just because of the bad memories he had, he shouldn't have done that to his precious friend. Not him. He needs to find him and apologize for his dumbass words. When he goes back to class, he notices that his desk was moved to the other side, as his friends don't want him to sit next to a gangster-blooded bastard like Jin Ung. He says that he's fine with it, as he was the one that misunderstood him, so he will apologize deeply once he comes back. His friends ask him why that's the case, as that bastard kept his gangster past hidden from him for 10 years. Sang concurs, as he is sure that the bastard is hiding even more things from them, like in those delinquent mangas. Yoon doesn't listen to their insults, and says that he will ask him directly, with his friend noting that if he gets in big trouble because he is acting this way, he will no longer be friends with him either, as he doesn't want to associate himself with that gangster in any way. As he finishes putting his desk back, 2 students come around in their class, asking where the gangster they have been hearing things about is. One smacks away Yoon, as he dared to block his way. The one on the left is Jong, and the one on the right is Seong, both from class 2-6. They also notice that Chel isn't in the class, but that's something usual for him. Nobody decides to answer their question, where that gangster bastard is. So Seong goes up to Yoon's friends and says that this place seems to be the perfect spot for losers like them, but that's because they all leech of Jung's strength. Even that bastard acts like he is kind. But he and Chel aren't here, so how can he ask about the gangster's whereabouts? Jong says that Ji isn't here too, so they probably all decided to skip school, as those guys do that frequently. Seong tells the losers to tell the gangster that they were here. They can do that, right? Even if they are losers who can't even speak. Jong laughs at them while wondering why they can't have a gangster in their class, with Seong agreeing that it would be fun, since he would befriend him as he is probably pretty rich. As they walk out of the classroom, Jung bumps shoulder with someone and tries to call him a bastard. But when he notices who it is, he starts singing a happy tune while dashing away with his friend, as they want no business with that beast. Jung wonders why those 2 lowlifes decided to come to their classroom, but when he looks inside, everything seems to be normal. It seems that nothing happened, fortunately. A few good meters outside of the school, Cheol's friends meet, with one of them saying that he has to go to school today, as he can't afford to skip any other classes. The ginger friend says that going to that damn school isn't that important. What's more important is, did someone follow him? The friend wonders why someone would chase him. Just why is he so paranoid? He explains that he and Chel messed up badly, with the wrong guys, as the ring that Chel found was owned by a dangerous gangster. The friend doesn't get why that would be an issue, as all of that could have been resolved if they just sold the ring, right? The ginger friend says that he wished that it would have been that easy, as the place that they were going to sell it was actually a sting operation, and they got beaten up by a bunch of gangsters. The friend comes up with a genius idea. If they are gangsters, they are all probably adults, right? They should just report them to the cops, since they are all underage as is. The ginger friend says that he thought about doing that for a long time, but his instincts are screaming at him to not do it, as he will most likely die. He's about to have a heart attack from all of the worrying that he has been doing anyway. The friend says that he has nothing to do with it then. Chel was the one who decided to pick it up, and he was the one that was caught selling it. He is free of all blame. The ginger friend notes that he is a snake bastard, but this is not why he was telling him. He was just warning him to be careful from now on. But this makes them both wonder, what is Chel doing? Soo Jin walks away from school and decides to meet with him, as he is still slouched down on the ground, where the uncles set him. She is extremely shocked when he sees him, and asks what happened to him. Did he get beaten up or something, as he is full of bruises? He asks if she knew that Jin Ung was the young master of a gangster family, but she confirms that she didn't. Chel can't believe how useless this woman is, so as she is apologizing for it, he starts playing the victim, as Jin Ung jumped him with more than 10 of his uncles and beat him up a lot, until his nose started bleeding. As he is doing that, he is making a face that even his mother wouldn't love. But Soo Jin, in her infinite wisdom, believes him completely, but she never expected for Jin Ung to do such a thing. How disappointing of him. Chel agrees that he is just a coward, but does she know what his weakness is? In his head, he thanks her, as he can't believe that she is this dumb. She doesn't know why he is asking about something so weird, but she doesn't know anything about it. Chel insists, isn't there something, anything, a deep dark secret that she knows? Something that he treasures? There has to be something that he likes. Soo Jin can't think of something like that off the top of her head, but Chel notes that they are childhood friends, so how does she not know anything about the guy? She should think even more. Soo Jin starts using 10% more of her brain than usual, and says that if he includes people as something precious to him, then her? Chel is confused by this, but then smiles. As this dumbass didn't see that Jin Ung liked her, she just thought of herself as his precious friend. With this newfound information, he gets up from his sitting place, making Soo Jin ask if he needs an ambulance, as he looks pretty hurt. He says that he's fine. He's just going to go back home as he lost his cap by being beaten up. But does she want to come with him, perhaps? She agrees, and so they start walking towards his house. But when they are halfway there, Soo Jin stops and asks Chel if this means that they are dating once again. Chel doesn't know how much more dumb this one can get, but he just puts his hand on her head and says that they naturally are, with his bald-ass head glistening because of the sun. He apologizes for treating her badly before. He didn't realize how amazing she was, but he will do it better this time. Will she give him another chance? With her PhD in being dumb, she agrees, and so they walk inside of his home. While she asks why he's bald now, he excuses it by saying that it was just getting hot, so he had to shave it off. When they eventually walk out, Chel asks if it's fine with her skipping class, as she probably hasn't done it before. Soo Jin says that it's fine. She can sneak back into this school by the back gate, as she won't be scolded a lot, considering her track record. Chel smiles and agrees, so they both hold hands and start walking away. She says that they should go to karaoke after school, as it's been a long time since they last went, with Chel agreeing, while feeling lucky that he finally found Jin Ung's weakness. With this, he can catch that bastard and show him who is the real boss. At the back of the school, one of Ji's friends asks her to be honest. Is she really dating Jin Ung? She confirms that they are not, with her other friend asking how she found out that he was a gangster, as her information gathering is impeccable. She really aimed high. Ji says that it's not like that, but her friends don't believe her, as it's pretty obvious she wants to be the girlfriend of a gangster. She then screams at them to confirm that it's not like that, with her friends being rather surprised by her sudden outburst of emotion. But they get it. They won't talk about Jin Ung any further. Ji says that it's not like that either. Yes, she does like him, but not because he is a gangster, as she liked him beforehand. One of her friends says that it's more like a bonus then, but since things have turned out this way, she better support him in order for him to become an even stronger man. Her other friends say that he should help him get closer to the bullies too, someone like her brother. He should be popular in those circles because he's a gangster. Ji is quite indecisive about it, as she likes him how he is right now, but then she thinks of how he would be like if he was a true gangster, which makes her blush, as that's not bad either. They all jump in the air as they think about it, but suddenly, Jong and Seong appear, with Seong asking where her gangster boyfriend is. He greets and asks where the gangster from their class is more politely, as that will probably garner him more answers. Ji's friends notice that they just want to get close to him for the benefits that they would receive. With Jong noting that they are fellow schoolmates, of course they would want to get closer to him. Isn't that only natural? Ji says that they are spouting nonsense. Why weren't they friends with him before they found out that he was of gangster heritage? That's when she thinks that things would be easier for Jin Ung to have a small group of buddies, as now he is just a one-man operation. So it might actually be better to let these guys get closer to him first, since she doesn't want to be friends with her bastard friends yet. Or perhaps it's bad. Maybe it's not necessary? Just what would Jin Ung do? Seong asks again if they know of his whereabouts, as if they don't they can just leave right now. But also, what happened to Chel? Did he not come to school or something? They haven't seen him anywhere. Ji asks how they would even know, as they don't hang out with him at all. Are they dumb? Jong laughs at her, as she seems to be quite courageous. But it's fine, as they will leave and play some pool instead, since they can't find anyone they are looking for now. As they turn around, Jin Ung appears like he's about to beat them up for justice, with Ji and her friends also being surprised by his presence. Seong says that he remembers this guy, as he was a loser before, but now he's the renowned gangster of this school. Jong also notes that he still looks like a total loser, despite him trying to be otherwise, but Song tries to get along with him, so he exchanges a greeting and tries to forward a handshake, but Jin Ung just looks at his hand without moving an inch, creating an awkward atmosphere. Seong puts his hand away while noting that things might become more awkward since Jong is here, but he just says that they are here to talk things out. They don't bear any ill intentions. Do gangsters like him not know how to exchange greetings, or something? Jin Ung asks if they are Cheol's friends, which makes Jong say that if he's buddies with that guy, things should become easier for them. He puts his hand forwards and introduces himself, which makes Jin Ung stare at his hand, but he chooses to accept the handshake and also introduce himself. As they are holding hands, Jong asks if he wants a smoke, but his hand suddenly starts to shake. so Jong asks him to let go of his hand right now, as he really isn't into guys, sadly for him. Ji Ung continues to grip tighter and tighter, until eventually he puts all of his strength into the grip, making Jong scream out in pain, as his metal ring is adding to the damage that he is receiving. Seong asks why he's overreacting like this, as that guy probably isn't gripping that hard. He should man up, as this is a test of true strength. John screams out at him, as this isn't acting or just a simple grip strength contest. This bastard is actually trying to crush his hand. He's crazy. Ji and her friends just look at this with confused expression, with Seong noting that he was the one who attacked first, so he shouldn't feel bad for what's about to happen. Jin Ung just gives him one tired glare, and while dodging his rather slow attack, he says that punching others like this is no good. He catches his fist and uses a new technique, twister potatoes, in order to grip and twist Seong's entire arm. Seong immediately gives up from the immense pain, but Jin Ung doesn't let him go, as he says that if he puts just a little more strength into this, his arm will crack and break. Does he want that? Does he want to feel his arm break? Seong apologizes with all that he has, as he doesn't want to be left crippled. With that, Jin Ung lets go, letting the two grovel on the ground, both with their respective injuries. Ji's friends think that he is crazy, but at the same time, he beat two guys. He's kind of amazing in that aspect. Seong can't believe that he got embarrassed like this in front of these girls, so he asks them to not look at him, as he is too weak right now. In that second, Jong tells him to run, and they do just that, with Jin Ung just letting them go, but they promise to have their revenge one day, as things won't end like this. Ji's friends are still awestruck, as even if those guys are not that high in the bully food chain, they're still pretty powerful, but they both got crushed by Jin Ung, who did it with ease. Is he actually strong? They want to ask Ji about it, but she doesn't seem to be available right now, as she was completely charmed by that display of strength. Jin Ung just looks at them, but Ji eventually recovers from her status and asks if he's alright, with him noting that he is just peachy. However, he has something to ask of her. She asks what it is, and with a rather dark expression, he notes that the guys that were here just now are Cheol's friends and also bullies from their school, right? She confirms that they are, which makes Jin Ung ask if she's also a bully. With a rather grim expression, she confirms that she is, not being able to deny it, since in essence, it is true. Jin Ung says that it's great, as he wants to send a message to every bully in this school, except herself, of course, because he is going to beat every single one of them into puddles. Her friends start joking around at her exclusion, but Ji says that she will do it. He can leave it with her without worry. He thanks her for this, with his mind now being fully set on his objective. As Chel and Soo Jin walk the streets, still holding hands while doing that, she notes that she could try something in order to get him out of trouble. She could try to talk with Jin Ung nicely, in order to make the uncles stop bullying him. This statement makes Chel stop in place. He's the one being bullied by Jin Ung? Soo Jin rephrases it. Even though she knows how strong he is still weak compared to the uncles that Jin Ung has, as they are all dangerous gangsters with abysmal records. He tells her that something like that is not necessary. She just needs to sit still and look pretty, nothing more. As they arrive at the school gates, they notice Jong and Seong running away, injured, with Jong calling out for him, as something bad happened. They are both surprised by how beaten up they look. But Jong is even more surprised, as he noticed only now that he is pretty injured too. Soo Jin immediately tries to say what happened, for some odd reason. But Jin Ung grips her hand, and says that she should go ahead and go to the classroom, as they have some boys' talk they need to do urgently. She smiles, and says that she will do just that. She will also cover for him with their teacher. As she walks away, she thinks that Cheol is really cool with his friends. What a gentleman. This girl officially lost it. Cheol asks them what happened. Did someone beat them up? Was it perhaps Jung, as that's the only one who would dare? Seong explains that they got beaten up by one of his classmates, Jin Ung, that gangster bastard. He just looks like a loser, but in reality he is very strong. Who would have known? Cheol is surprised that it wasn't Jung, but how did that loser even do it? Did he actually bring his uncles to school or something? Jung notes that there were no other people involved. They got crushed solely by Jin Ung and nobody else. Seong notes that they also got beaten up in front of the girls. He is extremely embarrassed about it. Cheol thinks that it's impossible. How did he manage to beat some of this school's heavy hitters like this? Something is seriously wrong, so he needs to finish this quickly, before things get out of hand. Jong asks what happened to him next. And what's this about his gangster uncles? Did Jin Ung beat him up too? Cheol immediately shuts that notion down, as that bastard is still a weakling loser. How could someone like that beat him? He was beaten by the 10 gangster uncles he called over. After hearing this, Seong and Jong think that it's better to just let this matter go and not mess with that bastard anymore, as they don't want to end up on his bad side. Chel tells them to not be afraid, as those gangsters are nothing. They are simply what they will become after growing up. More importantly, they need to find Ji Ung and mess him up real quick, as he has been doing whatever he wants for too long. Jung and Seong are more hesitant to mess with a gangster that can call for backup at any time. Chel says that they also have connections. If he would call over Do Park, he would mess that guy up real good. Seong notes that Do Park is close with gangsters. There are even rumors that he will become a gangster after graduation. Chel says that this is exactly why. Do Park is a crazy guy who always wants to fight. There were even rumors that he fought gangsters in his first year of high school. Jong and Seong are a little less hesitant now, but still wonder about the gangsters, as they will certainly retaliate. To appease their worries, Chel tells them that he will talk with Do Park alone and assume all responsibility. They just need to gather as many guys as they can, to the extent that they can take on the gangsters with their numbers. Even if they are dangerous gangsters, they messed around too much, and that Ji Ung bastard will soon taste death, as he will do it with his own 2 hands. Thank you for watching. See you next time.